We're going to call our meeting to order of the Board of County Commissioners regular meeting Tuesday, April 27th, 2021, 9 o'clock. We'd like to call Reverend Steve Burkowski from the Placa Church of God up to say our prayer, and the pledge will be led by Commissioner Adamczak. All stand if you're able to do so.
Good morning. And just to let you know, Brother Harvey, it is now Open Door, Church of God.
Okay.
Praise the Lord. Let us pray. Father, I'm reminded by your words in Psalm 85. It says, I will listen to what God the Lord says. He promises peace to his people, his faithful servants. But let them not turn to folly. Surely his salvation is near those who fear him, that his glory may dwell in our land. Love and faithfulness meet together. Righteousness and peace kiss each other. Faithfulness springs forth from the earth, and righteousness looks down from heaven. The Lord will indeed give what is good, and our land will yield its harvest. Righteousness goes before him and prepares the way for his steps. Father in heaven, we think about you today. We begin our day with you on our hearts and minds. May your wisdom prevail in this place. Lord, may our words, our thoughts, our deeds, Lord, reflect your glory. Lord, where decisions need to be made, let your wisdom and discernment go before us. We thank you, Lord. We give this time to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Steve from Open Door Church of God. Appreciate that. You got a great voice, matter of fact. And thank you, Commissioner Adamczak. Board members, the next item on our agenda is our approval of the minutes for March 9th.
Move approval.
Proper motion by Commissioner Turner.
Second.
Proper second by Commissioner Rawls. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Gentlemen, we've been asked in an email, if you would, please speak directly into your microphone. It's not coming across the YouTube channel quite good if we're not speaking directly into them. Next presentation will be from Diana Duque from Putnam County Department of Health. She is the interim administrator there. So Diana, come up, you have the floor. We're going to deviate just a little bit.
Good morning. I just wanted to present myself. I am now the interim administrator. I'm happy to be here. I've been working with the Department of Health since 2007. I started my career at Baker County Health Department, and in 2010 I came to Alachua County Health Department, and I was there since. So I'm happy to be here. I'm looking forward to working with everybody to continue to build on Putnam County and the health and wellness of the citizens here.
Good, good.
Welcome.
And you're also going to have one-on-ones with the commissioners, from what I understand, right?
Yes.
Go out and okay, so avail yourself to that. You and I have already had quite a bit of time together, so I appreciate that and look forward to your tenure here.
Thank you.
And hope for the long term. So
I hope so too, sir.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Commissioners also want to deviate just a second. Mr. Leo Granger, could I call you up, sir? Please come up. You asked me, board, and I'm not asking for a decision today, but you asked me to get back in touch with you on the private first class Robert H. Jenkins Memorial Highway type scenario for County Road 315. And Mr. Granger has asked if he could have permission to speak for just a moment on behalf of the family and himself. Mr. Granger, you have the floor, sir.
Good morning, sir. First, giving honor to God who's in my life. First, I'd like to thank the board for the last meeting I was able to make about naming 315 South Robert Jenkins, and the family is supportive of that. There's a couple other things that me and Larry Harvey talked about is the entrance where Robert is buried is Sister Spring Baptist Cemetery. It's a place, a sign there pointing to where he's buried at. So you can come in west and east, you wouldn't know where the sign. I'll draft that up later and present it. And also, when you come into the city on 315, County Road 315, like to place a sign there that says Congressional Medal of Honor recipient Robert H. Jenkins Jr. Those are some of the requests that 3 things that the family will be happy to input in the hometown of Robert Jenkins, where he was born, June of 1948. Thank
Mr. Granger, what I'll do is you and I will work together on your proposal, and I'll bring it to a workshop so the board can see it along with a resolution of how to name that road, and we'll go from there, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Granger, for coming today.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Any questions for Mr. Granger?
I
Okay,
think it's a great idea.
good deal. All right, our next item on the agenda is our human resource person, Miss Angela Nelson. If you'll come up, please. That's a long walk from back there, isn't it?
It is. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
We have 3 employees we would like to thank for milestone years of service. I'd like to ask them to come up to the podium with their executive directors. The first is Mr. Robert Freeman with Public Works. He's our road maintenance supervisor. He has been with the county for 10 years of service.
Good deal.
Thank you so much. Yep.
I think it's fair
No,
to
I think
say,
you should say something. Yeah, go ahead, please. And then Mr. Freeman might have a word or two of knowledge.
Well, again, good morning to everybody. Robert is one of those folks when I first got here that was the rock for the Roads and Grounds Department. Again, he's only been here for 10 years, which is a long time, but he came from another background up north, one of those Yankee folks like me. But yeah, he's my go-to person there at Public Works for the roads folks, and he's just been indispensable. And I always say when I come up here that I always try to be the number 2 person. Everybody loves Robert, right? I just hope to be number 2 to Robert, when we talk. So again, I thank him for his service to the county, and it's been great.
Good. Mr. Freeman, you want something?
Since he said all of that. Well, I would like to thank everyone that's in this room, and like to thank the residents for the county. I really appreciate working here, even though this is a complete different era that I'm coming from. But the people, the residents, one of the nicest group of people that I've ever worked with. And also want to thank the commissioner, all the administrators. Really thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Troxel.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Yes, you may.
Robert, I think you should smile and wave to the camera because all the public knows what you look like now. And they know who to complain to. We'll put your phone number on the bottom of the screen later.
You want to hold a sign? Come up here and we're going to get a picture with you, okay?
I fix your roads.
Why don't you stand in front of us? Why don't you slide over just to here? There we go. Come on, Julian. There we go.
That's perfect.
I knew
Are you
that
ready?
would be.
Up here, 1, 2, 3. One more. Very good. Sarah?
Wait, over here.
You know, the school board doesn't have this kind of fun that we have. I've watched the meetings. So I know. Right, Mr. Smith? Congratulations. Robert. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. You're
So
still-
next we have Brian Connell. He has 15 years of service in the fire, but actually 26 total years with the county because he was PRN part-time for some time before that. So 26 total years, but 15 years with the county. I'd like to ask them to come up with
Deal.
Chief Hutch and J.R. Grimes.
Brian, were you back there wondering what you were gonna say now? You got a heads up from the one before you.
Chad, you have a few words you'd like to share?
Yeah, I just say that Brian's one of the lifers, like some of us around here. He's been in the fire service most of his life in Putnam County, whether it be with the city or the county. He just kind of took a bounce back and forth, but this stint he's been here 15 years, and he's played a vital part in tracking our fleet maintenance program and getting it up to where it's at today. So we appreciate his efforts.
Good deal.
I remember when he was PRN.
Brian, you have anything you want to add?
Not really a whole lot. I just wonder where the time went.
Yeah.
It's been a journey, and I've enjoyed it. Ups, downs. You know, it's been my life, and I'm looking forward to spending the rest of my career doing this, and have several more years left in me, and want to give the county my best.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
job.
you very much.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. Can I get your picture taken?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right here in the center.
Go ahead, Sarah, you first. Okay, can you look up here, please? Chad, can you slide closer to Commissioner Turner? Very good. Ready, 1, 2, 3. One more time. Excellent, thank you.
Throwing stuff on our face.
Or better yet, have the ones you cut out and you stick your face through.
There you go.
Anybody.
That's right. Okay. Next on our agenda is Bertie Allender, Community Hospice National.
Mr. Chairman, we have
Oh.
one more, sir.
Sorry. I had heard the other lady couldn't attend today.
She did, but we did want to recognize her
Okay,
and say her
okay.
name. So the final employee we'd like to recognize is Kathy Tillman. She's our animal control manager. Unfortunately, she was unable to be here this morning, but we still would like to publicly recognize her for her years of service. She's had 5 years of service with the county. And I'll give this to our executive director so he can give it to her next time he
Okay.
sees her. Thank you very much. Thank you. And that's all.
May I proceed now?
Yes.
Good, thank you. I'm always being told what to do, so that's good. Bertie Allender is our next. Bernie and Rodney's here from Community Hospice, and I've asked Commissioner Pickens to read the proclamation as you meet me at the podium.
Thank you, Chairman Harvey. Before I read this proclamation, I'd like to just mention my relationship with Bertie. We went to high school together along with her husband, Danny. And Bertie is the daughter-in-law of Miss Bonnie Allender, who was at least a 2-term county commissioner, and just did a great job, just a wonderful, wonderful lady. And also Rodney Phillips. We've been in the Rotary Club together, and Rodney's the grandson, I believe, of Vic Nickerson, correct, who was just a champion for Putnam County, Red Cross, health, all things that are good in Putnam County. And I'll go ahead and mention this since we have some of the school board, some of the principals in the audience. The first proclamation I believe I read when I got elected 5 years ago, one of my tutors, Miss Barbara Duran, was in the audience, and her son-in-law was receiving an award. And so Today, as I read this proclamation, which is pretty lengthy, her son-in-law, J.T. Stout, principal of Palaca High, is in the audience, and Miss Lee Duran, who works for the county. So I hope to get a good report back to Miss Barbara of how I did, okay? So, Putnam County Proclamation number 2021-025, National Healthcare Decision Month, April 2021. Whereas National Healthcare Decision Day exists to inspire and educate and empower the public and providers about the importance of advanced care planning, it is an initiative to encourage patients to express their wishes regarding health care and providers and facilities to respect those wishes, whatever they may be. Community hospice and palliative care is dedicated to educating the public during the month of April and throughout the year. Whereas National Healthcare Decision Month was founded in 2008 by Nathan Kottkamp, a Virginia-based healthcare lawyer, to provide clear, concise, consistent information on healthcare decisions making to both the public and providers' facilities through the widespread availability and dissemination of simple, free, and uniform tools to guide the process. Community hospice and palliative care, through our Honoring Choices from Florida program, educate healthcare providers how to have the conversations with patients and caregivers, and also provides education to all who want it. Community hospice and palliative care provide the services to everyone. Whereas in all respects, National Healthcare Decision Month is inclusive and brings a variety of players in healthcare, legal, and religious communities to work together on a common project to the benefit of patients, families, and providers. A key goal is to demystify the healthcare decision-making and make the topic of advanced care planning inescapable and other things. National Healthcare Decision Month and community hospice and palliative care helps people understand that advanced healthcare decisions making includes much more than living wills. It is also a process that should focus first on conversation and choosing an agent. There is so much to gain by talking about and documenting your wishes. Advanced planning is not only the elderly or people in poor health, it is actually for all adults regardless of age or health status. Whereas across the county, healthcare facilities and community hospice and palliative care will participate, involving the engagement of community to educate on the benefits of advanced care planning. Now therefore be it resolved that the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners do hereby proclaim April 2021 the National Healthcare Decision Month and encourage citizens to increase their understanding and awareness of their health care, and observe this month with appropriate activities and programs. Done, ordered, adopted this 27th day of April 2021. Mr. Chairman, I recommend that this be adopted.
Thank you. We have a proper motion, proper second by Commissioner Rawls. Any further discussion on this proclamation? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Congratulations.
We actually have an event happening today at Putnam Community Hospital. Community hospice provides this service free of charge to anyone. So if you are 18 years old or older, you need to have an advanced care planning. The scenarios go on and on and on. You know, an 18-year-old goes off to college, is in an automobile accident, and is unable to make decisions. How many times does that end up in the court making those decisions for those families because mom and dad are divorced, or they can't agree on taking their loved one off of, their 18-year-old off of a life support? So it's very important for all of us to have advanced care planning, and that is something that we do. You don't have to be a hospice patient. We open ourselves up to the community, and this is an education we can do in groups, or we'll come to your home and do one-on-one. It's important for us that everyone have advanced care planning in place. It's so important. You know, none of us are promised tomorrow, and none of us are promised to be mentally alert tomorrow. So we need to have someone in place to make those decisions for us when we can't. So, you know, if I could say anything, reach out to us. It doesn't have anything to do with hospice. It's just about who's going to make the decisions for you when you can't. And just to understand, the advanced care planning does not go into effect until you are unable to make those decisions for yourself. So you can do it, and it's not going to affect anything until you're not able to make those decisions. And it's having those conversations. Do I want to be on a vent? Do I want a feeding tube? What is it that you want your loved ones to know? So we'll be glad to sit down with you and whoever you are designating as your healthcare surrogate to have those conversations.
Sir, can you step over? There you go. Oh, sorry. You're good. There you go. Just perfect, just like that. And can you turn a little bit? There you go. Just like that. Actually, can you get a little closer? There you go. I'll get Commissioner Adams back there. Go ahead, Sarah. You want?
Oh, me, okay. Sorry, me first.
You want this first?
Hold on, technology.
Okay. Up here. 1, 2, 3. And one more time. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
I'll see if you'll send me a copy.
Thank you.
Get me a box.
Before we go on to the next presentation, I do want to recognize some people in the audience. Our sheriff is with us today, Gator Deloach. Sheriff, good to have you. School Superintendent Rick Cernsey, good to see you, Dr. Cernsey. Glad you're here in our chambers today. And we have another dignitary over to my left, Rich Commando. You might not think so, but he has just been appointed by Governor DeSantis to serve on the St. Johns River State College Board of Trustees. So congratulations, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, Trustee Keith is in the back
Yep,
keeping
he's in
us
the
safe
back
as well.
there too. Good. Well, good. All right, next item on our agenda, Ashley McCool and your band of misfits. No.
Hope you don't have any kids in school.
I do not, but I do need, I think Mr. Theobald was going to dance or sing for us while they danced or something. to that-
I don't know, I hear JT plays a mean fiddle.
Can't take them anywhere.
Well, you have the floor.
All right, great. I want to thank you all for allowing us to come in this morning. As many of you know, in our community right now, there's been a lot of talk about our school revitalization plan, and next year we are moving to a 7 through 12 configuration at our 4 high schools. And so we've had lots of questions, and we're trying to make a really strong effort to get out into as many possible stages as possible to share what things we have going on next year and give you guys an opportunity to share any questions you may have. I'm currently serving right now as the Director of Community Relations. It's a new department within our district, a communications department, and we're trying very hard to really reach out to our community and provide a two-way communication that's ongoing. And so just really appreciate the opportunity to do this. And as we move forward, if there are things going on in our school district that you would like more information about, please reach out to me and let me know, but we would love to be able to share with you more often. So with me today, I have Dr. Cernsey, our superintendent, Brian Helms, who will be the principal at Interlochen Junior Senior High School, JT Stout, Palatka Junior Senior High School. We'll all have to get used to saying these, won't we? Tim Adams, who's currently serving at Miller Middle School, and he will be the principal at Crescent City Junior Senior High School. And then Joe Theobald, who's in our current 712 high school at QI Roberts. And so they're going to share and share just sort of the background for where this came from, a little bit of the research of why we think it's going to be great for our kids, and then provide you an opportunity to ask questions.
Thank you, Ashley, and she's a lot more eloquent and good-looking than I am, so I asked her to come and present, and she's doing a great job really getting out there and delivering the message for us. But first of all, thank you, Commissioners, for having us, and Mr. Chair, also County Administrator, and Mr. Clerk, thank you for having us, and it's a good time for Palatka and Putnam County, and we just really look forward to working with you. We actually met with the Palatka City Commission last week and delivered the same presentation. But we are truly trying to do this as a partner with you and many of our other entities around the county. We're really looking at making some history. You know, this is a revitalization of Putnam County. It's just not the Putnam County School District. So we're all in this together. And we're doing some really bold things. As you know, we're closing 5 schools this year. And we're doing that for a number of reasons. But we're really trying to do it to try to bring better and more efficient education for our youngsters. And as you know, our plan is in the next 10 years, we're looking at building 9 new schools. So there's a lot of things happening, and all this is about making Putnam County a better place to live, work, and play. I do want to mention one other person in the audience, Laura France, who's our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction. Laura, if you'll wave it in the back. And she does a lot of work in making sure that we provide great education for our students. So with that said, thank you again for having us. I'm going to step out of the way, and our principals will bring you the information. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
All right, good morning. Thank you again, gentlemen, for having us. My name is Joe Theobald. I'm at QR Roberts Junior Senior High School. We want to address several things with you today, and then receive whatever questions or comments that you have. But it is extremely important to us that we work together in a partnership and not consider ourselves in silos, because I think Putnam County is going to experience a great deal of growth and wonderful things in the future. And it will take all of us to make sure that not only that future happens, but also that that future is well planned and well performed. Some academic considerations that I'd like to present for you is something that we've experienced at QI Roberts, which is having students for a longer period of time, for 6 years, kind of gives us a seamless pathway in the most important areas of their academic work. We're able to have CTE programs at an earlier age. That's career technical educational programs. We're also going at QI Roberts, we're going to adopt the AVID program, which is something that the other 3 high schools have. And so we're kind of unifying what we do together as schools. Our acceleration is going to continue at QI Roberts. We've already got acceleration at the other 3 high schools, but this will just give us more and more opportunities to accelerate students. When you have an 8th grade student at a middle school who needs and is ready for high school coursework, but you don't have many of those 8th graders, it kind of limits your options. So being able to have those 7th and 8th graders on campus really allows them to kind of differentiate their pathways as they move forward. Planning for teachers has been fantastic when an 11th grade math teacher can go to the 7th grade math teacher and say, okay, these students need to know this before they get to me. That takes one less hurdle, and it's one less meeting that we have to coordinate with everyone to make it happen. The coordination between in one school is difficult enough at times, but certainly when you're including 4 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, 3 middle schools sometimes, it gets harder and harder. So we're looking forward to that opportunity as well. We'll be able to see students' grades, their pathways to success earlier and earlier, and be able to implement some things at Palatka High School. I can think right off the top of my head of some instances where students will be able to not only accelerate, but problems can be solved when they're in 7th and 8th grade that could later on be problems in high school. But if they can get to those problems earlier, that will be hugely successful for those students. And the biggest kind of the academic piece, which we'll actually circle around to, that I think is important to realize, is that many of us, all of us, had that one teacher or those couple of teachers who we really connected with. And if that person was in 7th grade or in 8th grade, and then you went off to the high school, your chances of seeing that person and getting a pep talk or whatever you might need, it's really slim. But if they are at the school with you, years down the road, you can go in 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade and go see that teacher, or that teacher can call you in and say, hey, Joe, remember, we talked about this 3 years ago. Let's hold you on that path. That's going to be a great opportunity for those students to have one smooth 6-year experience in junior, senior high school, and we're excited about that. Brian Helms is going to come up and speak to you about some safety considerations.
Again, good morning. I'm Brian Helms from Interlochen High. So before I start off, if you guys have people reach out to you, please have them contact us. We're always available, and we can try to de-escalate some things very quickly because we're in the school and we're in the trench. So we know what happens day by day. So if you have parents after this that are concerned or still have questions, they need answers, please have them reach out to any of us, and we will do everything we can to help you guys. So I'm going to talk about some of the safety concerns that some people have had. So as a whole, each school has their own way that they're going to do things in and out, but for the most part, we will keep them separate. I'm talking about the junior, the 7th and 8th graders from the high schoolers. So when they get off the bus, they will have every student has the ID badge. So we will have something on there that notifies us that they are a junior, 8th or 7th or 8th grader student. And they will go to the gym or they will go to the cafeteria. Each school does it a little different, but they will have an area they go into in the morning time, and in the afternoon we can release them at different bells, so they leave at different times. But each of us have a little different, so if you have parents that have questions with that, I can go into detail about them, but for the most part, we're going to keep them separate in regards to that. In the hallways, transitioning, each school again has kind of their own pathway, but they're going to have an area where they're supposed to be. And if you don't have an ID badge on, it's very easy, very simple. I keep my freshmen out of certain areas now. And so adding the 7th and 8th grades, at my school it's a little easier than the other two high schools because I will still have Price, so my 7th and 8th graders will stay there. So for Interlochen High, it's a little easier. The other two high schools have it laid out. It'll be very easy, very simple. The other thing too, I kind of want people to understand is all of us that are up here have teenage daughters, teenage sons that are at that age. And so for me, I take care of them like I would my own. And so when I look at that, I don't want parents to feel like, oh my goodness, they don't understand. I understand I have a 13-year-old daughter. Okay, so I get it. I understand the concerns, but again, I'm a parent too. So we understand those, and we're going to do everything we can to keep your kids safe and all that kind of stuff. Breakfast and lunch, they eat breakfast in the classroom for the most part, so that's kind of a moot point. But lunch, they will have 2 separate lunches. Very easy, very simple. A bell rings at 11:30 and the other rings at 12:10. I mean, it's very easy, very simple to do. And with that, so also something too that will come up that we kind of overlook. We are starting sports in the middle school, so like a football team, and a lot of times by the time some of us are starting football teams. So we are starting some middle school sports, and when they come over to us, their GPA sometimes gets lost. So middle schoolers sometimes don't understand how they have to keep track. So this is something that will be available to them. I kind of took someone's slide, so Tim's going to be mad at me twice, but I've done it 2 days in a row, so that at least makes me consistent. So the last thing we'll talk about is the enhanced support. So closing down the schools also will give us more support. And you can see up there, I'm not going to read you each of those, but each of the school, the instructional support is where really the rubber meets the road. So we're going to, every school has a different way they're increasing that, but those positions are guidance counselors or MTSS people or people that are there to support your students. So instead of one person supporting 100 and 200 people, it's going to be, the ratios are going to go down. And so that really brings us a lot of strength for the future. So again, if you guys have questions, please have you guys reach out to any of us, and we can go from there. All right, next one's Tim. I took some of his glory, but he'll be all right.
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, my name is Tim Adams. I'm currently the principal of Miller Middle School. However, I will be the principal of Crescent City Junior Senior High School next year. It's a great opportunity to talk about extracurricular activities and athletics. Years ago, when I first started as a teacher at Miller, I too was a coach. And at that time, Crescent City Junior Senior High School was just that, 7 through 12. And so I want to be able to talk about extracurricular sports and the fact that we'll actually be able to put together teams at an earlier age, which would help to support our JV varsity sports growing forward. The other part I want to be able to talk about, as Brian mentioned, talking about GPA, monitoring students, developing those relationships with our students as coaches, being able to make connections with kids from 7 through 12, during that entire time period. The other part that we'd like to talk about is our clubs. You know, when we talk about clubs, we're thinking about National Honor Society, drama, multicultural clubs, talking about drama and Interact Club. Thank you, JT.
I knew you would say that.
Yeah, but when we think about those things, we have students in all high schools that participate in those every year. We also want to think about QI Roberts. QI Roberts students, they'll have a chance to continue to play their academic or their athletics at Palaca High School, and there will be transportation provided for them there, and Interlochen as well. When we look at this, it's a great opportunity for our students, for our parents, for our community involvement, and I'm looking forward to next year, especially with those pieces. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. JT Stout, current principal at Palaca High School, next year Palaca Junior Senior High. So some of the supplementary supports that they talked about, one of the ways that we're doing organization, at least at Palaca High School, is I'm going to do a team of 4. And so I'll divide the high school up and I'll have 4 teams. And each team will have an administrator, a guidance counselor, an MTSS, and a /dean. So 3 individuals that will be in charge of 400 students. We're doing a vertical alignment 7-12. So that group of students will have those same 3 or 4 individuals all 6 years. They'll be able to get them through junior high, get them through high school, and they'll have someone on their team so that they graduate on time successfully or early, as we are seeing an increase in. Some of that personnel also for college and career readiness involves the AVID program that Mr. Theobald talked about earlier. We've had that now successfully for 4 years at Palaca High School. And this year, with Aaron McNeil as our teacher, our current seniors that are in the AVID program, every single senior has already been accepted to at least one college or university moving forward. So college is now an option for every senior that's in our AVID program. We also have a big push for CTE, the Career Technical Education. And with junior high coming to us, we're going to be able to put those junior high students in a CTE class, maybe for 1 quarter or even a full semester, so they can see what is going on in automotive, what's going on in ag, what's going on in culinary, so that when they become a freshman, they can make an educated decision on what pathway they want to take. And that will get them a career certification where they can leave high school ready to enter the workforce. So we're providing that vision for Putnam County where students are leaving us ready to be successful in college, career, and life. When we look at the operation of the facilities, we're still going to have the extra custodial staff that we have at the schools that are doing the extra cleanup during the school day that help us at school with the COVID. And currently, we don't have outbreaks. We have not had outbreaks at school. There have been community results of students getting out in the community, but not in our schools because our schools are very clean. We all have someone on staff that during class is going around and wiping down all of the handrails, all of the doorknobs of every single classroom, making sure that our campuses are safe. We also have a triage health room attendant in case that student is feeling unwell. We take them to that room and parents are able to come up and get the student so that they're not still in the classroom. We're also going to have a credit recovery teacher to help with the academic loss that we've all experienced this year with the number of students that are at home. I currently have 200 students at home on option 2, and the distance learning is not successful for the majority of students. And we're going to need that credit recovery person to help us get those students next year back on track so that they can graduate on time. We're also able to have more reading intervention teachers. That is the test that is the biggest gateway for our students in graduation. The 10th grade reading test is something that, I currently have 28 students seniors that still need to pass that test. We do have an emergency order for waivers, and we're working on the stipulations to receive that waiver and what kind of test scores they need. And it's something that is hard for our students to overcome. And luckily next year we'll, at every high school, have multiple reading intervention teachers to help us achieve our on-time graduation status. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We've spoken briefly about the relationships. Something else I want to bring up in closing is just the positive effects of not having these transitions after 5th grade and then after 6th grade for our students in Palatka, and then after 8th grade, having just one transition in their school career from elementary to junior high school. It's going to lower the likelihood of students having extra worries about developing relationships with new personnel, new faculty and staff. Also, when students transition to a different school, they are forced to kind of go into a different peer group. And so as this happens, we do see negative consequences for their academics and oftentimes their behavior as well. So we're going to decrease those transitions from several down to one, and I think that will be incredibly helpful. So I guess to summarize, I would say the most important walkaways is that, yes, as Brian said, we are parents, and we are doing everything that we can to plan to have a smooth transition to these new school openings and reorganization. And also what Brian said was, if you have folks reach out to you, have them call us. We are right there. We can solve the problems. We can address their concerns. And it's the most important thing to us is to make sure that we're serving our families and our students each and every day at our schools. Are there any questions or comments?
Before I turn it over to the commissioners, I do want to make a comment. I personally it's been a pleasure watching the transparency that Dr. Surensee and your staff has been doing through this process. I was heavily involved in the Melrose situation, and cooler heads prevailed out there. Not saying that there still isn't questions and things that need to be handled, but the people felt like and understood, not felt like, they knew that the staff was listening to them. And that's just a wonderful testimony to the leadership at the school system now. And having you gentlemen and Ms. McCool, you stand up and give us what the major schools are going to be doing here, I applaud you for that. At first, I had the same kind of questions that you kind of answered today, like, wow, that's going to be putting two different age groups together. I don't know as a parent if I would have liked that, but I feel comfortable. I'm not a parent today. I'm a grandparent and a great-grandfather, but I do look at my grandkids in that same aspect of, but they're transitioning fine when the schools are going to. So I applaud you. I know it's a big thing to push uphill, a big rock, but you're making it work, and I appreciate it. Commissioner Rawls, you had a comment you'd like to make?
Just a question for you real quick. Did you say you're a great-grandfather or a great-grandfather?
I am a great-grandfather.
Great as your great or great as
Great,
your great-grandfather?
Great and the great.
Wow.
Great. All the above.
Okay.
Just ask me, I'll tell you. I got the best ones in the world, too.
So CT was mentioned several times, and I've spoken to almost everybody up here, sans Ms. McCool and Tim, I've never met you before, but you want to build new schools, you're going to need labor. We need educated, trained, skills workforce. Why don't you take a look at what's being done in the Villages High School, where they have an apprenticeship program where they graduate students as first-year apprentices, which is a lot better than coming out with a certificate that says, hey, I can work on a car, I can cook, I can cut hair, whatever. Because right now, and y'all start off by saying there's a lot of growth coming to Putnam County, but we don't have a skilled workforce, masonry, electrical, plumbing, roofing. I don't think Commissioner Turner would disagree with me. If you drive down the road and you see on the back of somebody's truck, I saw one yesterday, it said, I'm now hiring carpenters, $20 an hour. Who in their right mind wouldn't be training carpenters right now? You got signs on the side of the road looking for roofers, looking for framers. These are needs in the community, and I really hope that you guys will seriously consider addressing these needs, especially as you start trying to raise money to build new schools, because if you don't have a local educated and skilled workforce, you're going to be bringing people from out of county. You're going to ask the public to raise the money, I'm assuming, and spend their money on the new schools. Hopefully we can spend it with some of our local workforce, and you guys could take the lead in doing that. One of the things that the Villages is doing is they're shifting from seniors only to they're going to family housing. And they know that they need a workforce to be able to accommodate that with the number of houses they're going to put on the board. So I would encourage you to take a look at that. I have information from vocational technical folks that are willing to come in and sit down and talk with you guys as far as setting up masonry, electrical, and plumbing apprenticeship programs, but I think it'd be great.
And also too, and I've talked with you too, Jeff, a couple times. So we do have some things that are that each school is trying to phase out, because it is, when we start programs like this, it's expensive. That's the bottom line. It costs a lot. And so I'm actually planning something for next year, and I'll get with you because it's still in the planning phase. And so we're all for that. I totally agree with you. I think that would be a great thing for our county to have, the students to have that. And if they don't go into that, it's just a good skill to have as a homeowner. I mean, it's hard to find people to work right now. So I understand that.
But
And
also
so-
an adult education component as
Exactly.
well.
Yes, sir.
That's what's severely missing. When I first came here, I took a welding class at the Placa High School as a firefighter. I was glad to go there, and I learned how to weld. So they also taught masonry and framing back then. They were teaching basic electrical to adults in the evenings at the high school in Palaca. So I hope we can bring something like that back. If you want, the books are still available. We can just dust them off. I can promise you there's not been a whole lot of changes that would for what y'all would be teaching. The basics are still the basics. So thank you very much.
Mr. Pickens.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Hall. I just want to make a comment and kind of piggyback off of what you said about the transparency and that the one orientation meeting that I went to at the school board, and I want to compliment Thomas Boland and Rick Cerncy, Miss Laura France, that they said that they would listen. And at that meeting, JT and Joe came back with some changes to, I believe, what some of the original rollout was. And they listened, and I believe they're implementing that. So I thank you two gentlemen for stepping up. I thank you for listening because, we need to listen to the people that are, like you said, into the trenches, doing it day to day. And I just want to compliment you on that. I hope this moves forward smoothly. Holly and I don't talk about this much at all. We don't talk about county commission business much at all. So anyway, I appreciate the update, and I commend everybody. Thank you.
So you don't go home and say, how was your day today, honey? Is that?
I do, but she usually doesn't talk about the school board stuff.
Mr. Adamczak.
So I'm gonna kind of go with what Larry was saying. Thank you to Dr. Cerncy for being open to having a meeting with me as far as what was going on in Melrose and some of the other elementary schools. To Ms. McCool, I'd like to see something like this with elementary schools as well, because I'll be honest, the majority of the questions and stuff I've gotten from the community have been along lines of the elementary school. Now, that's probably because I have 4 kids at Interlochen Elementary, and so a lot of the parents I interact with, obviously, are elementary age parents. As far as curriculum, kind of like what Mr. Rawls was saying, I know we have some IT stuff. My work outside of this commission is in IT at the highest level. I would recommend at some level, and when I ran for school board, I brought this up, but especially maybe in QI, that you maybe focus a little less on these Microsoft certifications and get focused on AI and big data, things like that. There is some curriculum from the state that is available. And the level of kids that you have in your school, if they could probably take some of the stuff online in 6 hours and pass those tests without going through a whole year of stuff. So if we get them at a higher level, that would be a really great thing for the kids coming out of this community.
So yeah, we actually just completed an artificial intelligence workshop with a group called Fuse Machines. This was last week, was their last meeting. So next year, QI Roberts, we will be the only school that I know of in the state of Florida to be offering curriculum in artificial intelligence with the idea of ending with certifications and moving straight into to careers right after high school. So yeah, we are of the same mind on that, and I look forward to our partnership moving forward with artificial intelligence at our school.
Mr. Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to join the other commissioners in saying the transparency's been really keen in this. I mean, I don't think that there's a lot of questions that have gone unanswered. I don't think there's been any decisions. But I also do not want to miss the opportunity to piggyback on Commissioner Rawls' comments. He is absolutely correct. Nobody in this room thinks a child should go to college more than this commissioner does sitting in this chair. But nobody else in this room believes that that same child should have the decision to rather to go for a trade, which would make in many cases more money than if he or she went to college. So that decision should be with the child, and both avenues should be available to the child. And over the last many years, I see it slowly changing to where that we're getting there. But many years ago, they were pushed to go to college or nothing. I mean, they were pushed hard to go to college. They weren't pushed to go get out of college. And I'm not going to name any degrees or anything in this, but certain degrees may or may not be advantageous to earning a living when you get done. So, it may be that if we could push them towards a trade, some of these people may decide to be a plumber, a carpenter, a contractor or whatever. And I believe they could make as much as in a lot of college degrees make, and so, or more, yes, sir. And so, you know, I just think that we really need to, and I know a lot of this is directed by the state, so I'm not preaching at you guys, I'm really not. But we sure need to try to move it in that direction, if you ask me, in a direction that gives the children the choice to become a tradesperson and stay at home, or go to college if that's what you choose. But it should be up to you and have that other option, and I just don't think that option's available right now. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. I want to close by saying this. Mr. Theobald, you mentioned a few teachers that keep an eye on you as you go through your career. I had two, and one at Mosley Elementary and one Mary Louise Thomas at Palaca High School. Those of you who know Mary Louise Thomas, pretty brutal at times, but you know, sometimes as a kid, you need that brutality to kind of shock you into existence that, yes, I earned the F, and had there been a G or H, I'd have received that, but there wasn't. The choice words I spoke under my breath to Miss Thomas, I was not going to speak publicly at, but I did say it at her funeral. But truly, the next semester, I earned a B in her class, and I did that. So there's a time when we have to look in the mirror and go, it's me, it's not you. And that happened to me. And the second thing is, I knew that I wanted to do something with my life. I didn't know what. I don't know if I could have committed to something in 7th or 8th grade. But in my high school days, I did learn welding. I knew at least I could get out of school and be a welder at the mill if I had to be. I chose a different path. I went on to college, was homeless, slept in my car. Didn't really know I was homeless. I just slept on people's couches a lot, took a bath where I could. You know, I didn't feel like I was homeless. I had a station wagon in the beach. I could stay there at night. It was pretty good gig. But I went on to be very successful in the insurance business. But I always had that welding where I could fall back if I wanted to. And I still enjoy it as a hobby. So I am with Commissioner Rawls and Commissioner Turner on those extracurricular things. And one thing we do have here, we have a comment, Commissioners Against Acronyms. So just remember that, okay? So, you know, it's hard to keep up with all the acronyms in the state of Florida anymore. But thank you. Commissioner Rawls?
I have one more thought. While you're thinking, I'll say, you weren't homeless, you were just a hippie, I think.
I didn't have anything. Good point, thank you.
He had
It was
a
the
shaggin'
70s,
wagon. Did you have a shaggin' wagon? No, I think, you know, when you start looking at around the community and what we have right now in place, I personally would be willing to donate my time to help if you guys have any use for me. I have several other skilled tradesmen that have offered to help. So, you know, if there's a way that we can get something going, the sooner we can get folks trained, the better off the community will be, because we truly have to rebuild what we have right now, because we have a lot of old housing that's aged that costs people more money to operate because their windows leak, their doors leak, their roofs leak, their siding is, or their insulation packages aren't that great, the siding's falling off. So we could even start with something like that. But it just seems like if we could just get the first step taken, get the ball in motion, and it seems like the school district would be the easy one to get that going. You're fixing to have a lot of vacant real estate. You know, there's a potential for a campus maybe. One other thing, I know that you guys are talking with one of the recovery groups for substance abuse. That's something the commission has taken up as a topic of discussion recently. So if there's any way that they can end up with a campus as well to help with that, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for coming today. We greatly appreciate it. And we look forward to the future of Putnam County. Dr. Certainty, thank you for bringing your staff today, and Ms. McCool, appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Ms. France, thank you for, I couldn't see you until they all got out of the way. I was looking for you out there. Do you need a few minutes to?
I need to pull this out. Yep.
You got it? Good. Thank you. All right, we're going to go on to the next item, and I did not overlook our esteemed clerk of the courts. I just knew he was next on the agenda, and our clerk, Mr. Matt Reynolds. I know.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'll ask my finance staff to come up. I know we've got several employees from the finance department. I invited them to come down this morning for this award. So just to start off, this award is for Putnam County. It's not just for the clerk's office or for the finance department. This award is for it is called the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, and it is the highest form of recognition that a public entity can receive for what's called now, we're not allowed to call it the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report anymore. We can't refer to it with the acronym. We have to call it the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. So they swapped the first two words around, and there's a reason behind it. But so each year when that report is completed, which fiscal year 2020 was just presented to the board at the last meeting by the auditors, this award is for fiscal year 2019. That report is sent in to the Government Finance Officers Association, and this year is the 36th year in a row that the county has received this award. So, and unfortunately, they used to send a nice, pretty little plaque, a wooden little plaque, and I guess they saw that that was getting a little too expensive, and so they sent us one nice marble plaque, and they just send you a little button with each year that you get the award for now. So I don't have a nice plaque to present to everybody, but
They're bean counters.
yes. This is some of the finance staff, and it is absolutely a team effort to put together this annual financial report. But I would like to commend the finance staff in the clerk's office for all of the work that they do, because they really put in a significant amount of time into this report. So I just thank the commissioners. Thank finance.
Picture, Matt?
Yeah, we'll have a picture with.
We'll stay up here. There's a bunch of y'all, so come on, gather around your boss.
Stand in front of Larry.
Oh, you're
blocky, yeah.
Well, I'm a little tall. I'm almost as tall as you. You need to be out front, right? I know, right?
Hold on. There's a lot more people. A little short. Hold on, I gotta go. I'm not that coordinated, or I would. Okay, I got it. All right.
Think you'd fall down or something? We don't
Commissioners
want
in the
that.
back, can you move to your left a little bit, just a little bit more? Right there? Perfect. All right, let's see how this.
Well, that didn't make a difference. You just wanted us to move. It's about the power.
Just how much, let's see if I can make him do this or that.
Yeah, bunny ears.
He just wanted that, yeah.
Okay, look here. 1, 2, 3, smile. One more time. Let me just make sure this is good. It is, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Congratulations. I do want to make a statement before we get too far down the agenda. If you hear about the Internet Cafe, that's going to be a hearing at 5:05 tonight. So if you're here, we'll be glad to listen to you at the last of our meeting, but it is a meeting for 5:05. Next, Julianne, would you please give us a review of our countywide projects, please?
Brief.
No, I want to know them all. Go right ahead.
Yes, sir. Please remember, this is just a handful of projects that are intended to be of most concern to staff, administration, or the commission. We will start with an update on our animal control facility. The core borings have been obtained. The analysis has been provided to Commissioner Rawls, who is working with us on that item. The Department of Health interior building renovation project is in its final phases. Construction is expected to be complete in late May of 2021. The Melrose Library expansion project construction is ongoing, and the project is estimated to be complete in the late summer of 2021. Parks and Recreation's Georgetown Park project. Pavilion, playground, and picnic table have already been installed. The survey to delineate the wetlands has been obtained. Staff is exploring options with FCT and LWFC on potential revisions to the management plan and compliance of items for which are obtainable. The Flora Home Park Historic Building, the Flora Home Historic Association, under the direction of Mike Conroy, has completed all structural repairs as well as the flooring tie-ins, windows, doors, and roof trusses. The roof work will begin in the upcoming weeks. The comprehensive plan project by the planning department, the data analysis portion of the comp plan will be going to a special hearing before the planning commission on May 4th. Once approved, it will go back to the BOCC scheduled for May 11th for review and approval. If approved, the BOCC will be asked to transmit the updated comp plan, future land use maps, data analysis to DEO and other state local agencies for review. CitizenServe online permitting. The internal and external teams are meeting weekly to review and complete the implementation of modules. The data transfer of parcel data and GIS information to integrate into the new system is ongoing. Assuming the data transfer is complete, we are anticipating to go live in May of 2021. Fort Gates Ferry Landing has recently received all required permits have been obtained. Public Works is developing the specifications needed to prepare the procurement documents. The Barton Bridge is under construction. Estimated total completion project is October 23rd of 2021. Lake Susan Road, Phase 2. The contractor issued a notice to proceed on April 12th. The estimated date of completion is July 23rd, 2021. St. John's Avenue resurfacing Palm Avenue to CSX Crossing. The City of Palaca's interlocal agreement regarding the road reconstruction portion of the project will be presented to the BOCC once the City of Palaca approves the interlocal agreement. Design is scheduled to be completed by June of 2021. County Road 310 Bridge Rehabilitation. 90% plans and submittals have been received and are currently under review by FDOT. Septic to sewer conversion project. Construction bids hit the street on April 20th. A pre-bid meeting was scheduled or is scheduled for April 29th. Bids are due on May 17th, and an anticipated award is scheduled to be made at the June 8th BOCC meeting. Dirt to pave 2020. All 3 contractors have begun construction. We are currently complete with 5 of the 17 roads as of this month. Completed roads are Magnolia, Twin Lakes, Cypress, Silver Beach, and Lakeview Trail. Cinnamon Drive, North Beach, Hunter are under pre-construction preliminary work at this time. East Putnam Drainage Flooding Mitigation Project, the construction bid hit the street on March 31st. A pre-bid meeting was held on April 9th. Bids are due April 28th, and it is anticipated that award will be presented at the May 11th BOCC meeting. St. John's Avenue Drainage Improvements, State Road 19 to County Road 309C. Supplemental agreements received by DEO are scheduled to be presented to the board on May 11th for execution. St. John's Avenue Multi-Use Trail, the change order being reviewed by FDOT for consideration to provide Putnam County with additional funding. Once a decision has been made by FDOT, the change order will be presented to the BOCC for execution. FDOT will provide the county with the concurrence to begin construction after the change order has been approved. East Lar Lane Drainage Project at Crescent Lake Shores Drive. Construction is substantially complete at this time. The contractor is addressing a few punch list quality control items. Tolles Road Drainage Avenue. Also, the construction has been substantially completed. Putnam County is awaiting FDOT's inspection report. Countywide drainage improvements. The construction bid hit the street on April 15th. A pre-bid meeting was held on April 26th. Bids are due May 17th, and it is anticipated an award will be presented for acceptance to the May 25th BOCC meeting. South Palm Avenue, Druid Street to Silver Lake Drive. 100% design plans have been reviewed and approved by FDOT and Putnam County. Public Works is awaiting the funding agreement for the construction activities. Saratoga Harbor Drainage Project. 100% design plans have been approved by Public Works, scheduled to advertise after the permit requirements are complete. James A. Long Elementary and Jenkins Middle School safe routes to school. The notice to proceed was issued to the designer on November 5th. 90% submittals are scheduled for FDOT and Putnam County review in May of 2021. 100% submittals scheduled to FDOT and Putnam County review in September of 2021. Fiscal year 21 roads resurfacing project. Award recommendations were accepted during the April 13th BOCC meeting. We are awaiting those final contract documents needed to issue the notice to proceed. County Road 315 resurfacing project, waiting for the signed agreement from FDOT. Once obtained, design services will be procured. In the Cell 4A construction project, the notice to proceed was issued previously this year. Construction is underway. We're working on the subgrade for Cell 4A. The wet well is set to be delivered on May 3rd, and we have also started the waste excavation to finish the grading of the south side of the cell. It is still scheduled to be completed late this fall. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Julianne. And I do want to say for the viewing public out there, you see there's a lot going on in Putnam County that you probably weren't aware of. And it's very important for us to make you aware and be as transparent as possible. I am going to take a point of privilege here. Commissioner Rawls, undoubtedly you had a meeting from what I just heard about the animal services, the core borings. Could you explain that real quick?
The borings came back. There's nothing remarkable so far. So we're going to start moving forward with the design of the footings. I've been talking with an engineer about footing sizes. Reached out to a metal building supplier the other day to get their details. It's probably beneficial us to go ahead and spend a little bit of money at some point to get, if we can pick a metal building supplier or some variation of one that we want to try to use. It'll get us close in what size footings we'll need, but it looks like everything's going to be fine with that. And at the same meeting, by the way, I did have a conversation with staff about reducing the amount of time we spend on things like giving the updates for the, I understand it's important for us to give updates to the public, but meeting after meeting, we hear, the Melrose Library project is still ongoing, and, so I think if we could reduce that, I've had complaints from public about how much time we spend for our edification, our staff's edification, and trying to get them, so I'm just bringing it up since you brought it up.
Well, I kind of like the fact that we get there. Mr. Turner?
I don't really think it's for our edification at all. I think it's for us trying to be transparent to the public of what's going on, so is in my opinion. But anyhow, that's not what I wanted. Mr. Chairman, Julianne, did you say that the Safe Schools sidewalks projects were still moving forward?
Yes, sir, and Mr. Troxel can lend some greater expertise on that. We have notified FDOT that a couple of those schools are slated to potentially be closed and/or closed at the end of this fiscal year, and FDOT is involved in this. The funding is coming from FDOT. Mr. Troxel is here, and he's that resident expert, so I'm going to turn it over to him.
Yeah, I know we talked about this. I think it was at the last month's update meeting, and by the way, without this update, I wouldn't have heard or thought about this. I'd have thought it had just been canceled. I really don't want to build bridges to nowhere or walkways to school that's not going to be there anymore. I don't care if DOT's paying for it or not. The hell's going to be caught from us.
Yeah.
So I just assume that not happen.
We can talk with FDOT, but right as of now, that they're still planning on going forward with that project.
Well, could we reach out to them officially and tell them that we are not interested in building a walkway to a school that's going to no longer be there in 3 months?
Yeah, I think that, I got it. Can we get some order? Guys, there's a question on the table.
Yeah, we will reach back out to FDOT and see what we can.
I was asking if we could reach out one step higher up the ladder than you are, Mr. Troxel. Could we reach out to DOT on an official level and tell them that do not really wish to build a bridge to nowhere or a walkway to the school that's not going to be there? I mean, we just heard a presentation from the school board a few minutes ago that they are going to close those schools at the end of some of those schools at the end of the year. So whichever ones are going to close, we don't need to spend tax dollars building a walkway, a safe walkway to a school that's no longer going to be there.
The short answer is absolutely. We can reach out to DOT and have that conversation and discuss with them what the school board's plans are and what the scope of the project for Safe Routes to Schools is, and see about making those changes at the direction of the Board of County Commissioners.
So I understand it's already in motion, and I understand when the ship starts sailing at DOT that you don't stop it by just turning off the engine, that it's got to take a slow and steady slow down before it ever thinks about stopping. But in this case, I would really like to see the safe sidewalks turned off to the schools that are no longer gonna be there.
We'll reach out to DOT. Absolutely. We'll get that done this week.
Thank you. Mr. Adams,
I guess I'll take that a little step further. Do you need us to vote to say that we want you to do that officially to stop it?
No.
The other thing is potentially when you're having that conversation, see if it's possible to move it to a school that's not gonna close.
We'll certainly have all those conversations, but I believe the consensus is pretty clear here this morning with direction. We'll make that call this week.
And as far as Mr. Rawls' comment, the feedback I get from the community is they want more updates, not less, so I'm getting a little bit opposite, so.
What I'm hearing is that we spend a lot of time, people that are online at work trying to watch the meetings, spend a lot of time handing out awards and stuff like that. Like right now, we're at 10 o'clock, and we haven't really done anything as far as taking care of county business and what the public would want to chime in on. So I'm the messenger, not the message.
Thank you. Mr. Turner?
Oh, yes, one last thing. Before we talk to DOT, could we make sure that what we're calling the safe sidewalk to the school is not just for the school? Because I just got a text from someone who knows that saying that this sidewalk might not just be for the school, and us turning it off might be detrimental to the neighborhood and to Theobald Park. That it also connects a certain neighborhood, a safe walk neighborhood, to Theobald Park. So before I jump off into the deep end and then get eaten by an alligator, could we check and make sure that I'm not doing something real bad here?
Absolutely. We will certainly have a conversation with DOT. I'm sure it does not just pertain to the schools itself, but the communities. And if that's their directive, then we'll bring it back to the board for further discussion.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so if you don't think transparency is important, phones are blowing up here. I don't check mine during the meeting because it's kind of hard to control 5 of us type A personalities, but my counterparts here are getting blown up about the tech. Thank you for watching and thanks for your input. We appreciate that very much. We're going to go to the next thing and we're going to take a break. Mr. J.R. Grimes, Public Safety Officer, quarterly fire and EMS update.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you.
Morning.
I'd like to start by saying thank you for you guys' support and our administration, because without you guys, a lot of the stuff on this list would not have been accomplished. Starting with the first quarter of the year, we've hired 35 new fire rescue employees.
Wow.
From January to now. That's not including what we did January back. So we've hired 35 in. I'd like to tell you guys today that we're fully staffed on fire rescue. However, I could have told you that on Friday. But we had 2 gentlemen that have resigned. Both of them, one of them was for a personal reason, and I totally understand it. The other one is taking an opportunity to go out onto the Bering Sea and be a paramedic on a fishing boat.
Ooh.
So I was like, congratulations, we're going to miss you. When you decided that was a little
TV.
too rough, you're always welcome back. But we did have 2 of them reach other opportunities. So, but we're really close. And I mean, I was really excited. The work that the folks put on to get us up to full staff was absolutely amazing. I mean, it was countless hours of effort that was put in. But however, we're back to hiring. I told Chief Hitchcock, I was like, I'm going to give you a couple-week break. And then, of course, you know, now she's back on the trail again. So that did help.
Fire Director Grimes, I don't think you can compete against Alaska crabs in the Bering Sea.
I get it. I mean, we tried, but I mean, trust me,
so.
we put an effort in to retain them, but they just, you know, both of them had made the decision that was best for them and their families. So we can't blame them for that. We've also had to hire our fire and EMS assistants, one of each. We've got those accomplished. We designed and have 2 ambulances out that you guys approved that should be back here due by September of 2021. We have built and submitted this next year's budget to administration, so that is completed and we're moving forward with that. We hired our EM specialist position from an internal candidate that took her time while she was working for Putnam County to come in and go through the education to get her degree in emergency management, so we did hire that one. We submitted a air pack replacement grant through FEMA. Have not been denied yet, but we also have not received, and that's a $2.1 million grant that we have applied for. We replaced 7 of our cardiac monitors, replaced 8 of our auto pulses, which are mechanical CPR devices that will help the paramedics in the back of the trucks. do CPRs are going down the road, so it's less labor intensive, and the outcomes with them have been fantastic through our research through the years. So we were able to replace those as a capital improvement this year as well. They're due any day now. One of the things when I first arrived, that when I pulled in the back gate of the EOC, I was real disappointed with the condition of the back lot. We have went through and we've got a lot of it cleaned. 80% of the parking places back there now you can actually park a car in. So we've been doing a lot of cleaning, spring cleaning. Through the surplus stuff we've done here, we've been able to move some of that stuff out and get the place more organized and ready to move forward into the future. We received grant funding for vein finders and quick clots through the State Health Department. It's just another tool in the toolbox for the folks in the back of the units that help. The quick clot is for trauma calls, and the vein finders, if you have a really difficult vein, it's kind of cool. It's a technology thing. We received them at zero cost back to the county. It was a whole match program from the state of Florida. We're now currently teaching an in-house fire officer program that'll get people to their Fire Officer 1 and Fire Officer 2 state certificates. We're teaching it with in-house instructors, and we're teaching it to our folks every day. Well, it's 4 days a week. We've started the architectural design to look at refurbing the EMS station at Mary Wisham Park and Interlochen to be able to house some folks and kind of redo some things there. We met with the architect last week to kind of do like a virtual walkthrough and make some changes, so that'll be coming to you guys really, really soon to take a peek at. We had a great meeting with and we do monthly with our volunteer fire chiefs. They've decided that they want to come in and join on the team. So as of then, everybody's on the same team, which I thought was great. I mean, the meetings are fantastic. I mean, we probably have 90% representation from all the volunteer departments there. So we've worked on that. We've started our countywide ISO discussion with ISO. We're getting all of our documents in place now to push forward with a countywide 1 rating. Lots of training conducted at the Hollister House. Thank you, Commissioner Adams, for bringing that forward. I can't tell you how many hundreds of hours our volunteers and our career folks received working at that house for training. It was a great thing. So I can get you an exact number on it, but we just got to pull a report. One of the things that came out of the task force was our fleet maintenance issues. So we have a fleet maintenance person that was transferred over to us from Public Works that's doing in-house services. They're coming out and doing, and he's staying up on top of things that would potentially break us down. He's staying on top of those. We renewed our ALS permit that's required by the state of Florida for us to transport patients to the hospital. Our Central Supply and Logistics Division is opened and up and running. Discussion has been started with St. Johns River State College for a fire program. That's moving forward. Ms. Young and I have met with the administrative staff for CTE programs. It looks like we can potentially do it right here at home. We're going to have a meeting with the city and try to join a partnership for a facility down the road, which it has a promising future. Of course, with the SAFER grant, you guys are aware of that, but we've got the positions hired. And that was a monumental step beginning them actually, and they're going to be rolled out onto the streets May 9th. So that has been done as well. We also have ongoing discussions with our communication system. That's not something we've put away. I mean, we've had several meetings, administration and I, with the different players with this and moving our system forward. So we should have something to you guys real soon. I would think within the next 60 days we'll have you guys some kind of plan put together. We've updated and revamped our fire run card system to bring our apparatus into date. We've also updated our CAD. Some of the information there was extremely old. We've got all that stuff done. We reopened the San Mateo Fire Station. It's got volunteers in it now, so it is up and running. They're answering calls, which is something that we hadn't had done in quite some time. And many other accomplishments that I just didn't make the list. I just want to try to keep this brief for you guys. So those are some of the projects we're working on, continue to work on, and there's a whole bunch more. Plus, we're still running calls and running a service that requires about 18,000 runs a year.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Adamczak has a question for you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for all those updates. And I guess what I'd ask is if that training was successful in Hollister, is maybe as we take down some other buildings throughout the county, if they come available, maybe work with Mr. Triano to see if we can identify other structures like that.
I've already spoke with Mr. Ciaffi, the building official, and about abatements, and when they become available, he's going to let us know.
Okay. And then the one other thing is, this afternoon, we're gonna talk about Pico Road property. There is a structure there, so that might be something to talk about as another justification for that purchase if possible.
Thank you.
If you could let us know if that property would be usable for that.
Okay.
Fire
Not familiar
Director
with it, but
Grimes,
I'll
we
take a
thank
peek
you
at it.
for
Thank
your
you.
comments, and we appreciate
thank
it
you,
very
JR.
much. We're going to take a,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Hey, JR. I know that you mentioned in your report that you're discussing the ISO, starting the ISO and getting the paperwork.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do we have any idea of an approximate schedule of when we're gonna be able to try and change some of those ISO ratings?
Okay, so in order to get one countywide rating, we had to gather at least 4 months of data. So maybe a month, we've been in the process, somewhere close to a month. So we had to get all that data done, and then we actually have to go through the inspection. And then, I don't know what it takes, but we worked with the town of Interlochen when I first started in September, and they still don't have their number. So
Okay,
it could be 6+ months before we actually get a number back.
Do you think it would be to our advantage to there's a couple of areas in Putnam County that are pretty bad. They're like 10s.
Yes, sir.
Is there any way, or would it be too much work in comparison to us trying to go for the county ISO, which I agree, but to maybe focus on those 2 or 3 areas and see if we couldn't get them changed before the whole county one, if the county one turns out to be a lot more difficult issue to get a countywide ISO rating?
Certainly, we can look at that. And we'll reach out to ISO and see if we can kind of explain to them the situation and see if we can kind of put a Band-Aid on those areas.
You know, San Mateo area is a good example.
Yes,
San Mateo area didn't have volunteers, the station was defunct. It's not that way anymore. We have a station running with active volunteers in the station. With that being the case, is there any way we could reach out and maybe get some relief for the people on their homeowners insurance until we get the county ISO rating?
Absolutely. And if they're insurance companies, if the citizen wants to contact us, we can take the calls. Sometimes we've had success with writing the individual homeowner a letter to where if they were in this particular state, we could absolutely try to help them.
Well,
any
if
way
we could
can.
look into it and it wouldn't be too much difficulty, then I think we need to do
Sure.
it because it's impacting every single person with a home in that area. And I believe Francis is in the same ballpark that
Yes,
the one that San Mateo was in.
And the
so
Johnson area, they're all in.
Businesses are even worse.
But I think we've rectified most of ISO's issues, so it may, if it was, nothing with the government's this simple, but if you could make a phone call or write a letter
Yes, sir.
or do something to get some relief from these homeowners while we seek the countywide rating, that'd be really good.
Yes, sir, we'll do.
thank you, sir. Thank you. We're going to take a 5-minute recess. All right, we're going to reconvene our Board of County Commission meeting, and the next item on the agenda is public comments on agenda items. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak on the agenda items that are listed on our packet? All right, seeing no public comment on agenda items.
I think the people are raising their hands, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Mr. Ballinger, I'm sorry, I forgot you. I do apologize. You filled out a blue card. You want to speak on item G. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, and I do apologize for that.
In a minute.
Mr. Ballinger, you have the floor. If you'll state your
separate
name and
hearing.
address for the record, please.
Earl Ballinger, 496 Clifton Road, Crescent City. Item G is leasing tractors, plural. 80 grand a year for 2 years or 30 grand for the rest of this year. My question is, in BOCC meeting 4/24/2018, I need my glasses. We bought 2 new mowers at a cost of $111,000, $220, something like that. These tractors that we're wanting to lease, are they replacing these that were just bought 3 years ago?
I can answer some of that for you. Mr. Troxel, would you like to come up and, I'm going to ask the department, I can answer it, but I'm going to let the department head. We've had some issues, but he's going to share with you what.
For the record, I was not here in 2018.
Pardon?
That's an easy way out, Mr. Rawls. Mr. Troxel.
Well, good morning. But to answer your question, yes, that we got 5 total Kubota tractors. 3 of them were earlier, and 2 of them were in 18. We're having some issues with those tractors. So what we want to do is now lease them for 2 years, the new ones. And so every 2 years we get new ones. It's about that 2 to 3 year mark where we have some serious mechanical issues with these tractors. So that's what we want to do, the leasing program with them.
Thank you. Mr. Turner?
Just to keep the record straight here, we bought the 2 tractors back then for sure and 5 new mowers. We're not buying 5 new mowers. We're keeping the mowers we've bought back then. Yeah, I understand, Earl. Let me finish or come up to the mic. I'm not going to debate you. I'm just trying to talk to you about it. If you want to debate, I'll debate you after the meeting. But I mean, this is a really good deal for the county because those 2 tractors are the best that we bought 2 years ago are the best 2 tractors we have running right now. But everything else that we had before then that was 3, 4, 5, and 6 years old and older is wore out. And so we can't keep them on the road. So we looked into buying new tractors, 3 new tractors this year, and that's when they came across the lease deal. Taking the lease deal, we get 5 new tractors. We every 2 years we get 5 new tractors for much less than buying them. We get, and they do the 500-hour maintenance. They do different things to make sure that happens. It's a no-brainer deal rather than buying new tractors. We had to do one or the other. Does that help at all?
Yes, that does help. My problem was, here's 2 tractors, 3 years old. Are we getting rid of them? No.
No.
Doesn't say that in here.
Yeah, no, sir, no, we're not getting rid of them or several of the other ones that are even older. We're using them for backups and for leveling blade running in the winter and different things. So no, we're not getting rid of them.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other public that want to speak on agenda items only? Okay, good. Then we'll close that section of our meeting. Commissioners, I'll go from my far left. Commissioner Rawls, any items you want to pull off the consent agenda?
Items C and D, please.
C and D. Okay. Mr. Pickens?
I have none.
Mr. Turner?
I have none.
Mr. Adamsack?
Item G.
Item G.
G.
G like girl.
The chair will entertain a motion on items A, B, E, F for approval.
So moved.
Got a proper
Second.
motion by Commissioner Rawls, proper second by Commissioner Turner. Any further discussion on those items? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Mr. Rawls, you have the floor on item C.
I just wanted to congratulate staff for taking the initiative to do this. I received several complaints about the proposed solution to this prior to, and I was concerned, to say the least. So I'm really glad to see this moving forward. Just wanted to say that. So move approval for item C.
Have proper motion by Commissioner Rawls, proper second by Commissioner Pickens to approve item C. Further discussion on item C. It's a great deal for the county and for our employees. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Commissioner Rawls, item D.
I want to see if we can get item D pulled and to discuss the workshop this afternoon. I just have some concerns about the language, and we discuss it now or discuss it later. I think it's something we should bring to a workshop prior to approving this on a consent agenda.
So you're asking item D to be pulled from the
Move to this
agenda and
afternoon.
move this afternoon's workshop?
I have no problem with that. Board, how do you feel?
I'm good. You want to do it by consensus
Do
or
it by
by
consent?
vote?
We'll do
I'm
it by
good.
waive,
You good?
waive and support.
Yeah.
Good deal. We're going to pull item D off of the consent agenda and move it to this afternoon's workshop, where we can take action if we decide to at that time. Mr. Adamczak, item G.
Item G, I guess my biggest concern, item G, really has nothing to do with the purchase of the tractors. It's where the money is coming from. I guess I would ask, is there any alternative than bringing it from, I don't know what that fund is considered, but I think we have an opportunity to use that money. I mean, if we have excess money in the payroll fund, I can't remember, I'm looking back on the page, 77. It's transferring money from,
Regular salaries and wages.
yeah, salaries and wages to that. I mean, that's one department where we have an excess of people making under $10 an hour, as well as making between $10 and $11 an hour. I think that money could be better spent to bring some of the people up and to make our openings, there's currently several openings in that department, more competitive. I just would like to see that money come from a different location, if possible.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Adamczak, we got your email yesterday afternoon. We didn't have a chance to, with getting prepared for today, to formalize a response back to that. But Ms. Young and I met yesterday afternoon briefly on that, and I don't know if we have a full answer for you prepared for this morning, but we'd be more than happy to sit down with you afterwards and have a conversation.
And I think with talking to Mr. Troxel, I have the information I need to have my opinion as far as where the money comes from. Is there an alternative source that we could utilize is the question, I
Oh,
guess.
you betcha. Anything you want.
Right.
That's right.
So Commissioner Adamczak, the long and the short answer to your question is the Transportation Department or fund does not have ample reserves to pull from their reserves. You could pull from the general fund reserves. However, the recommendation of staff to pull this year's small portion of what would be budgeted next year from salary and wages alleviates the burden on any fund's contingency in a factor with the by method of attrition, you do have a small balance in that. Not enough, you have to remember those individuals are obligated under the carpenters union, which also affects numerous other departments. So it's not as easy as saying, I'm gonna pick these 5 employees or these 5 vacant positions and change their pay grade and scale. You would have to look countywide at any individual also obligated under the carpenters union. So it wouldn't be as easy as just
Yeah.
modifying that.
The nuts and bolts of it isn't what's relevant to me. It's the idea that we have the money there for when those nuts and bolts fall into place is what I'm thinking.
Sure, absolutely, and staff is already working on the personnel budgets for next year and the effect
So
that the
so
minimum
I'd
wage
rather
would
see
have.
this come from the general reserves than from this particular fund is, I guess, what I'm saying.
So,
Okay, Mr. Rawls?
I concur, and for the simple fact that last year we moved money from, and I hate the fact that we use the term attrition. I don't like the connotation that it implies, but we took money from Public Works for positions that were budgeted not filled, and we put it into general fund reserves. So let's spend some of the money out of the general fund reserves and leave the salaries in place. So I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Rawls. Mr. Turner?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it really doesn't matter to me one way or the other. This is money that's left over that's not being taken out next year. It was just money left over that was there. So basically, all it's gonna be is money that just rolls back over into the reserves. So whether we take it out of their reserves, I don't care. I'm good with just taking it out of reserves like you guys wanna do and leaving it there. I don't care. But it's all it's gonna do is roll back into reserves anyhow at the end of the year.
Okay. Mr.
Mr.
Rawls, real quick?
Part of the heartburn that I have with the way we do the reserves, I think that we should leave the money in reserves for that department individually and not general fund reserves
But
because.
it's not in reserves.
No,
It's
no,
in
last
salaries.
year we took the money left over and we put it in general fund reserves.
No, we took the money last year left over in the transportation fund and used it for capital projects within the transportation
There was an
fund.
amendment, there was an amendment to the budget made at the end of the year
Okay.
where we moved that $1 million of attrition money into general fund reserves.
What nutrition?
No, sir, we didn't.
Yeah.
No.
What
There was a
nutrition?
budget
All right,
amendment
let's,
made at the end. and-
We're going to go through that at budget time. Right now, I think the board is, the chairman will entertain a motion on this item.
I guess I don't know the name of the funding alternative fund.
General fund
General
reserve.
reserves, I don't have to call out the number.
You do not. We'll have to bring back another
So
resolution.
I
for
make
the
a
board to
motion that we approve item G, taking the funding source from the general reserves and moving it to the expenditures of the rental and leases.
That's fine. Thank you. We have proper motion by Commissioner
Second.
Ambrose.
I'll second that.
Proper second by Commissioner Rawls. I'm sorry, Mr. Turner, he beat you out. Any further discussion on this matter? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. And we look forward to that coming back to us. The next item, we do have a 10 o'clock certain. Sorry that we ran over a little bit, but that's normal. Planning and Development Services Amendment to the PUD Agreement, case number PUD 21-003. Thank you very much. And you've got this.
Wendy Hickey, Putnam County Planning. I'm going to read the ordinance into
Can't
record.
hear you. You're gonna have to speak
Yeah,
into the
you're gonna-
microphone.
Okay, I'm going to read.
You can raise it up.
Okay.
Help her out there.
Gabriel?
Mr. Quintus?
Go for it.
This is, there you go.
Not that high
There
up.
you go, yeah. Take the mic, Matt.
Hey, you said it to Matt Reynolds high.
Good. Okay, we can work together. Okay.
All right, if you will, speak directly into the mic.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wendy Hickey, Putnam County Planning. This is ordinance number 21-013, an ordinance of the County of Putnam, State of Florida, amending the development agreement for the Bayou Club 2 Plan Unit Development, PUD agreement, establishing a valid expiration date in the development schedule, providing for severability and an effective date. The case number is PUD 21-003.
Okay, thank you. And do we have the applicant here that would like to speak? Please come up and state your name and address for the record.
Good morning, Ryan Thompson with CHW, 11801 Research Drive, Alachua, Florida, 32615. I don't have a formal presentation. The application before you is to extend the development schedule for both Areas A and Area B to undeveloped portions of the Bayou Club to PUD. I know there's a number of residents here within the Bayou Club that are going to speak to you this morning. I've spoken to a couple of them, but I wanted to reiterate and inform this commission that those properties will not be affected by the application before you. Our intent is to reestablish a development schedule that will allow the Bayou Club to be developed as originally intended. Our applicant purchased the property in 2018 with an expired development schedule, so we're before you this evening to extend that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant? All right, we'll move forward. Anybody here would like to speak in favor of this proposal? Please come up. Anybody here? Well, let me go to my cards next. Speaker, and then we'll have opposition. Tedra Phillips would like to speak on this item. Is that correct?
No, he's not. I'm speaking on the proposed PUD
Yeah, the one that being withdrawn, okay. Frank Jones? Mr. Rawls, do you have a comment you'd like to make?
I just want to say I have a conflict of interest with this, so I'll be abstaining for the vote.
All right. Mr. Jones, you're speaking on the Bayou Club PUD.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
I am, pardon me, new here to the county. I'm new to Satsuma. I want to make this home. And I just want to make sure that we understand here what's going to happen, please, or maybe I need to understand what's going to happen. Bayou Club right now is under the Florida DEP because we have a faulty water system. The water system is either to high chlorine levels, we've had bad biocounts, whatever. So you're dealing with infrastructure that's 35 years old, okay? I just fixed some of the road drains. And now the issue is that the silt in the ponds over the 35 years has filled up to where now the level of the water is the same height as the drains. Further adding roads to this area is going to basically stress all this, and we're going to have overflowing drains. What bothers me, I guess, the most is that we have documentation over several months of trying to get these owners to speak to us. What are your plans? What are you going to do? How are you going to make this area better? How are you going to bring it current? Also, my concern is over 35 years, a lot of these properties that were maybe allowed and platted when they first started, now they're becoming wet. So my question to you gentlemen is the county going to just stamp it as done, or will the county be involved furthermore to do inspections, supervision, everything, so that the residents that are currently there don't have their sorry to say, properties trashed? I mean, can we count on the county to make sure that this is done properly?
Today, we're hearing about extending dates of the development. I can't answer that question for you wholeheartedly. I wish I could. But I think that from my understanding, we're just extending dates today. So is there anyone from, Jim, would you like to? Okay, over here. They're in consultation right now, so just give them a minute. Okay. Can that question be answered on the current status of the current development versus the extending of the dates on the future development?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, the current status of the...
Well, the gentleman's upset about the current development and what's taking place out there, not the future development.
So the current development, that is the responsibility of the existing HOA. Any issues that are happening out there would be the HOA's responsibility to handle.
I'm going to question that, sir. We pay the
Sir,
owners.
will you address me?
Sorry,
okay.
sorry.
That's okay.
We pay the owners our fee for water. That is not a POA, HOA thing. That is the water company, and that is by them. Florida DEP knows that. That's why Florida DEP has mandated that there is a person there that is checking water quality daily. So that is not HOA, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Turner?
But does that really have anything to do with lengthening the dates of the already proposed thing that's already been in place, the PUD? I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I understand your frustration, and I'm definitely not trying to blow it off, but I think we have two different issues here. We have an issue where you're upset about the water, you're upset about maintenance of the Bayou Club at the present time, when that's not really what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today is they've come in and asked for us to take the existing previously approved PUD and extend the dates on it. I think, unless I'm missing something, that's what we're doing here today, correct?
Yes, Commissioner Turner, that's correct.
Okay, but I'll just say this, sir. If they can't handle what's current now, how are they going to handle something later on? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones. Next speaker, Alexander Hardy.
Gentlemen, I'm speaking on behalf of a number of Bio Club Unit 1 property owners, okay? It has come to our attention that we are co-applicants of this amendment. We wish to correct that. I refer to the letter of transmittal from CHW to Mr. Mike Brown, Putnam County Planning Manager, dated December 29th, 2020, and it starts like this. Dear Mike, on behalf of St. John's River Estates LLC and Bio Club Unit 1 property owners, that's us. CHW submits one copy of the PUD major amendment application. So that means that we are applying, we are co-applicants of this application. We, the Bio Club Unit 1 property owners, state that we have not had any dealings with CHW. We have never authorized CHW to act on our behalf, and therefore we request that all relevant references to Bio Club Unit 1C property owners, that's us, be deleted from this application, together with our warranty deeds that form part of this application. We've written to CHW and asked them to do this, and we've had no reply from them.
Thank you, sir.
And that's
Appreciate
the
it.
statement.
I'll give them a chance to respond. If you'll step back for just a second, sir. Please come up, Mr. Applicant.
Mr. Chair, again, Ryan Thompson with CHW. The wording was poor. The Plat 1C has 26 lots. Of those, 13 were sold. The 13 that remain are under the St. John's River Estates LLC, who also holds the unplatted portions of the property. And that was the intent of that statement, that is those owners that are within the LLC, not the private landowners that are outside of that. So,
Thank you.
point of clarification, I apologize for the miscommunication.
Thank you. Does that change our application at all?
No, we identified the parcel numbers specifically within the ordinance. In addition, our code also allows for a 51% approval of the owners, which is in section 45-107G4D. So that also is the governing instrument for it.
Good, thank you. Mr. Hardy, would you like to say one more comment, please?
Why has everybody else appointed CHW as the agent, and the people that I represent have not been spoken to at all? How can we be co-applicants of this application when we've had nothing to do with it?
I think the applicant just said it was a mistake on their part to put those other lots on there.
So will they take them off?
Yes, sir. And our staff has already known that, and we've identified the 13 parcels, or whatever they were, I think 13, that were part of the LLC and not part of you. Okay? Thank you. Is there anybody else would like to speak in favor or in opposition? Mr. Adamczyk, you had a question?
Could we, I think what he's talking about too is if you, on page 87, would we just line out and Bayou Club 2 on the top there? I think that's part of it too, because that got into our official PUD 21-003.
Okay. But I think we're pretty clear today by the parcels that are listed that we're only talking the 13 parcels and not the 26 parcels. Am I correct in saying that?
I think you are, yeah.
Okay. So, all right, is there anybody else that want to speak in favor of this or in opposition?
But it's not inaccurate.
We're going to close the public hearing portion of our meeting and go to commissioner deliberation. Commissioners, what's your pleasure on this item?
Mr. Chairman, I believe that the Planning Commission found this to be consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan, and because of that and the positive staff recommendation, I move that we approve case number PUD 21-003.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. We have proper motion by Commissioner Turner. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Proper second by Commissioner Pickens. Any further discussion on this matter?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I understand that what we're doing is we're just extending the dates for a project that was already approved and the dates had run out. So it's not increasing any lots or any development or anything like that.
No, the development that was approved by ordinance 91-20, the original development, stays intact. The only thing that we are changing is a schedule.
Okay, good. Does that answer your question? Okay, so we have a proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign. The ayes have it. This passes. Thank you. Next case. Gabriel, you ready?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good
I'm
morning,
sorry.
Commissioners. Oh, that's all right. Gabriel Quintus, Planning and Development. This item is case number PUD 21-004. Staff and the applicant have mutually agreed to withdraw the item from the agenda without prejudice to the applicant. The applicant intends on resubmitting the application with additional information at some point in the future, and it is recommended that any discussion on the item be reserved for the date of the next public hearing, which will be determined once a complete application is resubmitted.
All right, thank you. But we do have people here that want to speak, so I don't want to limit the conversation. But I do want to say this. My understanding is this is going to be repackaged, brought back to the Planning Commission, where there'll be public comments taken at that time and be weighed according to the plan that presented. So right now, everything's off the table that was on the table prior. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And then once the Planning Commission gets done hearing that and goes to the public comment, then it'll come back to the Board of County Commissioners for final.
Yes, sir,
Thank
that's
you.
correct.
So I do have a couple speakers here that want to speak. I don't know what that was. Somebody have a...
Came from your pocket.
Yeah.
Google listening.
Yeah, maybe Google's, they're watching, yeah. Ms. Phillips, do you still wish to speak on something that you don't, I hate to say don't know what we're talking about, but truly, there's nothing to talk about today. I'm sorry? That's up to you. You filled out a card. You may speak. You fill out a card, and I welcome that.
Do I need to start with my name and address?
We've got it for the record, but you
Okay.
can if you'd like.
Well, no, that's fine. I just want to make sure I do everything
Yes,
properly.
ma'am.
Since this project is going to be revised, I would just
Would
like
you
to...
speak in the microphone, though? That's
Yes.
there.
Since this project is going to be revised, I would like to request that the current owner and developer consider the neighbors that love their homes and their lifestyles in this area. Please give them the same consideration you would give yourself, your mother, and your grandmother. My mom lives next door and has lived there for 40 years. Zoning protects property owners, which should also protect their investment. We would really like to see Mike Revel sell this property as it is currently zoned. Residential riverfront is in very high demand in today's real estate market and extremely difficult to find. If an undesirable project went in on this property, which would force the neighbors to sell if they no longer desire to live there, where would they go in this county to have the same lifestyle they currently have? There's no options. All we are asking is to treat others the way you would want to be treated, and don't put something next to someone else that you wouldn't want to live next to yourself. Thank you very much for your consideration.
I think that's reasonable for your request to ask the owners to work with you. Thank you for attending today.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your mom being in attendance, too. I think everybody has spoken to her. So, Chris Faustine, I know I messed that one up big time. I apologize. I do apologize.
So good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners and everybody else. I'm Chris Faustini, and I live on 115 Thompson Road in East Palatka. And what I wanted to speak on is this change in the zoning for the property at the 135 South Highway 17. And I know the proposal has been pulled back. Excuse me, I know the proposal has been pulled back, so I'm not going to comment on that proposal. But I would like to pose the question in that how property owners are treated equal. In granting this change to the zoning for this property to a PUD is a benefit to the owner, Michael Revels. It would make his property much desirable to a larger pool of potential buyers, and therefore a higher selling price can be had. I fear that would have the opposite effect on me and the other surrounding property owners, in that it would make possibly our properties less desirable with a smaller pool of people that would be interested in buying it. So the question then would be to change, if we are going to change the existing zoning for that property to benefit that single owner versus all the surrounding people, where we possibly have a hit to the cost, or a cost hit to our properties. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to respond to that if you don't mind. I'm a big proponent of PUDs. I think they give the citizens of Putnam County a lot more say-so in what takes place on the property. Right now, it's zoned a certain zone, and anything that's allowable in that zoning could happen. Under a PUD, they have to tell you what's going to happen. They have to meet certain standards. They have to meet certain requirements that the Planning Commission might put on them. So I take a different view of that, but I don't live right next door either, so let me just say that. But I think a PUD is probably one of the best tools in our toolbox to protect and make people aware of what's really taking place on a piece of property, other than to just say, well, anything that fits in that zoning can happen in that zoning. That's my opinion. Mr. Rawls, you had your light on, sir?
So, I did receive your letters, and I did take them to heart. As you're aware, the planning board did not make a recommendation to approve this or move this for approval. So I think that's the avenue you have to take going forward with whatever else might come from this, if that's what the neighbors decide they want to do.
We weren't supposed to talk about this.
Do what?
But we're really not.
I said I thought we weren't supposed to talk about this.
Too far in the weeds, so.
Well, I thought I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I thought we were instructed not to talk about it because they were gonna withdraw.
Oh, nobody instructed me. I did.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm good.
I stepped out the
I
last
think
one
you were
because
out. You were outside.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, you were
I wasn't
out.
comfortable with the conversation. I didn't want to give you undue influence, but anyways, so you do what you keep doing what you're doing.
I don't care.
And the planning board is your first line of defense. So really, we're going to take direction from them.
Thank you. Mr. Pickens, you got a comment?
I just want to ask a question. If it gets resubmitted, does it go to planning first and then us, or directly back to us?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing, so is anybody else in the audience wishing to speak on this matter, either in favor or against? And seeing none,
Mr. Chairman, has it been formally withdrawn at this point?
it has, from my understanding.
Has it been withdrawn, or has it just been their intention to withdraw? Or
It's their intention, but I would defer to council. Is there a motion that's necessary to pull the item from the agenda at this point?
Not if you're going to re-advertise and go through the process, no. You'll do it through the public notice process that way.
All right. So yes, sir, it's been withdrawn.
it has been withdrawn?
Yes.
Okay.
So we don't need a motion on it to make this work? All right, then it just goes away, and we appreciate you coming today, and sorry you had to sit in those hard chairs for that period of time. Next case will be zoning map from C1 to Ag, case number R21004, page 101 in your packet.
Wendy Hickey, Planning Department. I'm going to read the ordinance into the record, and then I have a PowerPoint to follow up. An ordinance of the County of Putnam, State of Florida, amending the official zoning map from Putnam County Incorporated into Article 2 of the Putnam County Land Development Code, Ordinance 2005-18, providing for a severability and effective date. This is case number R21004.
Okay. All right. Is the applicant here?
Hold on a moment.
All right,
No, I do not see the applicant.
that's okay. Go ahead with your presentation then.
Okay.
Since you made all the trouble going through PowerPoint.
All right. This is the applicant is Silvio and Pauline DeMarco. It's a zoning map amendment for a single parcel from commercial neighborhood to ag. The property is located on County Road 315 at the corner of Puerto Rico Avenue. The address is 446 South 315, Interlochen. The designated land use for this parcel is A1. It's 0.99 acres in size. It's approximately 310 feet of frontage on 315 and 150 feet frontage on Puerto Rico Avenue. There's no wetlands nor special flood hazard areas, and the parcel is vacant. This is the location of the parcel, the future land use, the current zoning district. The agricultural category consists of areas used for cropland pasture and other activities, vacant land and residential parcels, some of which exceed the allowable density of 1 dwelling unit per 10 acres, down to 1 per 5 acres. It is intended for a large share of this land to remain in active agricultural production in the future. So the zoning currently at the C1 level allows for retail sales, food, services except tattoo parlors, office, childcare, adult daycare types. The proposed is an agricultural zoning, and the applicant expects to use it for a residential double-wide home. So in the ag district, residential single-family and agricultural general is allowed, and the usual ag-type district uses. The future land use with the Ag 1 and the Ag zoning district is now more consistent with each other. With the commercial, it wasn't as consistent as it is with the proposed. The uses associated, of course, are consistent. County Road 315 is a paved 2-lane facility. It's a minor collector. Its adopted LOS is D. Puerto Rico is a local unpaved road, but they do not have any kind of access to it. Their driveway is on 315. The development of the site will be served by well and septic. Of course, there's no wetlands, and the surrounding land uses are a mixture of agriculture and residential. So staff finds that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map, consistent with the location requirements for ag zoning, and compatible with the surrounding uses. It also finds that the proposed zoning of C1 to ag is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the adopted comprehensive plan. It's allowed in the adopted future land use category and meets the local requirements for ag zoning district in the LDC and the comprehensive plan. The Planning Commission, in a 6-0 vote on March 10th, 2021, recommended approval to the BOCC.
Well, thank you for your PowerPoint. I think we got the message there. Commissioners, any comments on this item? Okay, we've already heard from the public. If there was, no, we haven't. Is there anybody here from the public that would like to speak in favor of this? Anybody in opposition of this? Then we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case number R21-004 as it is consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan and at the recommendation of the Planning Commission.
Second.
Proper motion by Commissioner Turner, proper second by Commissioner Rawls.
No, that was Adam Zach.
Adam Zach, I'm sorry.
I was going to, but he beat me to it.
Well, you were shaking your head, so I thought it was you. I apologize. Okay, any further discussion amongst board members? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, the ayes have it. Thank you. And next case is zoning map amendment C2 to C4, case number R21-005. Mr. Turner, I think you need to make a
Yes,
statement.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to have to declare a conflict that I will not be voting on this issue.
Thank you, sir. Go right ahead.
I am going to be doing the same thing. In this case, our previous report that had been done by others had some typographical errors, so the PowerPoint is actually clarifying some of those issues to clear up some of those inconsistencies. An ordinance for the County of Putnam, State of Florida, amending the official zoning map for Putnam County incorporated into Article 2 of the Putnam County Land Development Code, Ordinance 2005-18, providing for severability and effective date. This is case number R21005. The applicant is Mr. Terry Turner, and the agent is Mr. John Key Esquire. The zoning map amendment is for a single parcel from commercial retail 2 to commercial intensive 4. The property is located at 256 South Highway 17, East Palatka. The parcel is designated urban service on the future land use map. The parcel is 11.39 acres in size. There's approximate 685 feet frontage on Highway 17 and 1,000 feet frontage on Old San Mateo Road. There are identified wetlands and special flood areas on the northern portion of the property which would not impede any development. The parcel is currently vacant. This is the aerial, future land use, current zoning. The urban service area category consists of areas where urban-type infrastructure has been provided or will be provided in the next 10 years. Urban-type infrastructure includes central water, sewer systems, stormwater management systems, and major paved streets or highways. The existing C2 allows for retail sales, regular and food, services, office, childcare, adult daycare, and nursing home. The proposed of C4 allows for, again, retail sales services, recreation and entertainment indoor and outdoor, manufactured housing sales and service, and recreational vehicle boat sales, service, and repair. The future land use designation is urban service. The proposed C4 zoning is consistent with the future land use designation. The uses associated with the requested C4 district are allowed in the urban service and use category. US Highway 17 is designated a principal arterial with an adopted LOS of D. Old San Mateo Road is a paved collector road. County water and sewer are available to serve this property. Surrounding land uses are a mixture of commercial, residential, and there's some agriculture. Staff finds the proposed rezoning to C4 is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map, consistent with the local requirements of the C4 zoning, compatible with the surrounding uses. Staff finds that the proposed rezoning from C2 to C4 is allowed in the adopted future land use category and meets the local requirements of the commercial retail zoning district provided in the LDC and the comprehensive plan. The Planning Commission, in a 5-1 vote on March 10, 2021, recommended approval to the BOCC.
Thank you. All right, is the applicant here that would like to speak? Mr. Key, would you like to speak for the applicant today?
Right there.
He's not here, you can't see him. First time Mr. Turner can't speak.
How's it feel?
Okay.
Oh, by the way, he represents the buyer, not me. I
I'm
think
sorry.
I need to be part of this.
Okay, all right, Mr. Key, I apologize, okay.
That's quite all right, quite all right. John Key, 415 St. John's Avenue, beautiful downtown Palatka, Florida. I, of course, would like to encourage the board to adopt the recommendation of the Planning Commission. I believe it's a good use for the property. There are other mobile home sales businesses just literally down the road from this parcel. And I'm here to answer any questions the commission might have.
Any questions for Mr. Key?
I just have a question in general. Sorry. Do you really need intensive commercial to put a mobile home sales place up?
That's the way the...
Is that in our LDC?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
It could be looked at, in my opinion.
Yeah, you think?
I think we will, going into the future, but, yeah, thank you. Mr. Pickens?
And this is new mobile home sales?
Correct.
Okay, no used mobile home sales on the site at
I
all?
believe last time that
What I read.
this was, I'm sorry, last
think
time
that's
this was
what I
raised,
read.
it was new, yes.
I don't think you can preclude them once they get onto the.
Right. That's gonna be my next.
It is, Mr. Key, yeah.
Yes, a legacy and live oak model mobile homes.
Mr. Adams, you had a question?
I guess I'll tag on to that, and that's kind of Jeff Rawls' answer a little bit, but it wouldn't preclude them, once it's C4, from doing any of these actions. Which I don't have a problem with any of the activities that are under C4 for that lot. I know one of the people on the zoning board made that notation from what we're reading here, but I mean, any of those things would be good services for that area, so I'm for it. Unfortunately, we can't dictate that they don't put used ones. It sounds like the intention is not to, so we're gonna have to go with good faith on that, I guess.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Key. Is there anybody here that wants to speak in favor of this application? Anybody in opposition of this application? Close that public portion. And Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
I move approval.
We've got a proper motion by Commissioner Rawls to move approval.
Second.
The adoption of the ordinance and amend the official zoning map from C2 to C4. Proper second by Commissioner Adams. Any further discussion on the matter? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it, and Commissioner Turner has abstained from that. Okay. Clerk of the Court, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing to add today. I just want to thank the commission again and county administration for allowing us to put that award on the agenda. And thanks again to all of the partnerships that we have with all our constitutional officers and the board in order to continue receiving that award.
And we hope you do in the future, and we congratulate you very much. That's a good thing to be taking into the future. All right, appointments, starting to my left, Commissioner Rawls.
I have none.
Commissioner Pickens.
I have none.
Commissioner Adams.
I would like to appoint Yvette Reyes to the Animal Services Advisory Committee.
It's your appointment. Good deal. Okay, is that the end?
That's all I have, yes, sir.
Commissioner Turner.
I have none today, sir, but I would like to make a quick comment.
You may.
Could we start looking at some of these? There's some of these we can't find people to
I know.
serve on. Like the Contractor Building and Trade Examiner Board, you need a licensed at-large roofing contractor. There's so many of them around here, and most of them either been there or don't want to. So, because I have reached out to multiple, can we change that where it could be changed to like a second building contractor or a plumbing contractor or another licensed contractor or another at-large member of the community or something? I mean, maybe we could just get Sarah to take a look at it for us and see what, if we can't switch that, where we can fill that board up, because obviously we're not gonna be able to find a roofer it doesn't look like.
So having served as the chair of that board, we did rewrite that where an alternative type contractor can be there. I brought that up back in January, I believe, and we didn't do it because Mr. Scaffey felt like he had a roofer that might be interested, but since that didn't come through, they do have that option on that board to use
That
an
option would be a
alternative.
recommendation, because that board doesn't have the authority to
Right.
change
It
ordinances.
would come
Oh,
before.
it's written into the ordinance.
No, they don't have the authority to write it in. They have the authority to make recommendations to bring it back to us. I don't think it's been
Oh,
changed.
okay, maybe.
So my point remains the same. Could we take a look at it and see maybe
I think there's a way
maybe
to do it.
Commissioner Adams' Act recommendations when he was on that board could be brought forward or something?
Okay,
I just
good.
don't think we're gonna get that one filled without changing some rules.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of that going into the future.
And with that, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, and I have none. County Administrator, Mr. Suggs.
My apologies, Mr. Chairman, I had to step out and take a call from the Army Corps
Okay.
real quick. Got 4 quick comments this morning, or things I need to get some direction on from the board. One is, if I could ask Mr. Sullivan to join us at the podium real quick. As you know, we've been working on the St. Johns Avenue project. Some time back, we were afforded, Mr. Sullivan, correct me if I say anything wrong here, I believe it was an additional $1.8 million for that project. We need to get the board's approval for the chairman to sign the new funding agreement for that. We failed to get that last time. I hate to have to walk in on the agenda, but we're kind of under the gun. Mr. Sullivan?
Like Administrator Suggs said,
It's already been approved, hasn't it, previously?
In October 2019, we were granted $3.5 million and some change for the CDBG grant to work on St. John's Avenue drainage. DEO, who administers this money for the federal government, approached us a few months ago and asked us if we'd be interested in an additional $1.8 million to go towards that project, which could make it larger and improve the drainage even further on the road. And we said, sure. They have sent us the contract amendment, and we need the board's approval so that Chairman Harvey can sign it, and we can accept the
This
money.
different than the one we already, if I may, Mr. Chairman, is this different than the one we already talked about on St. John's Avenue?
No, sir, it's the same one, but this is actually, the board needs to give the chairman the authorization to sign on
We've
behalf of the
already
board for the agreement.
authorized all that. I move we give the chairman authorization to
That's all I
sign
need.
whatever it is to get this free money from the state.
I appreciate your help, sir.
Oh,
I got a question.
okay, well, hang on, we got a proper motion to accept the $1.8 million.
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay, we got a second by Commissioner Rawls. Mr. Rawls, you have the floor for discussion.
All right, so we reduced the scope of work. They redesigned it. What will the extra money go to? Are we gonna go back to redesign again?
No, we're not going to go to redesign. We're going to basically extend it, and Mr. Troxel could correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not familiar with the name of the streets, but we'll be going all the way almost to College Road, which is an extension of almost a mile worth of drainage on St. John's Avenue.
This is exactly what we already spoke
I know.
about a while back.
We're already
It's
moving
nothing
towards-
different.
Yeah. But do
What
we
am I
need more
missing?
money to make, I mean, I'm confused because we had the young lady in here from the design services, laid everything out and we agreed on, and everything was funded. Now we're changing the scope again?
No, we've talked about this many times. This is just the final piece. We finally got the money.
Okay.
And so all we need is Mr. Harvey to sign the funding agreement.
I will be glad.
Everything's been talked about, and we've approved, you guys have approved it. You guys looked at it many times, but this is just that final piece to accept that money.
Good.
And
So
there's
we
no
have-
strings attached? No match? We're just gonna spend somebody else's money?
Yes. We have a proper motion, a proper second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed, like sign, the ayes have it. Move. Okay, Mr. Suggs, you still have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Following up conversation with our board chairman, as you know, we're right in the middle of preparation of budget. We'd like to schedule a budget workshop for the commission as a whole for May 18th. So if you could look at your calendars, we'd like to get that calendared and scheduled and get ready to go through our budget preparations with the Board of County Commissioners. It'll be an all-day session beginning at 9.
What day is that?
It's Tuesday, May 18th.
That is taking
It's the
advantage of
third
your third Tuesday.
Yep. And we'll be hearing from, go ahead, I want to see.
And then, last but not least, is we've sent invitations out to the constitutionals to meet with us, as well as the board on June 9th and 10th. We have yet to get full confirmation back from each one, but I'm confident we'll get that this week.
What was that?
The constitutional budget presentations on June 9th and 10th. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
That's only 3 items. I thought you had.
Well, the fourth one, I decided not to talk about, but we can if you want. It's the positions that was asked for at the last budget meeting. Just want to let you know they're advertised.
Good, thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
What was the date on May 18th, or what was the time of day?
It's going to be at 9
9 in the morning, thank you.
till.
Takes me a little longer.
All right,
And there was another one on June something?
June 9th and 10th would be the start of our constitutional talks with our budget.
On the May one, I would have to break out at 2 o'clock for
That's
about
fine.
20 minutes.
That's fine. We can accommodate that. We can take a break. Just remind me that day if you will, okay? I'll try to keep that and that's it?
That is it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
June 9th and 10th, both at 9 in the morning?
Yes, sir.
That'll be all-day deals too?
That is correct. No, those, just like in years past, they usually just take usually less than half a day. We'll schedule 2 on one day, 3 on the other, like we
Not a
always have in the
problem.
past.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to that because we have promises made from last year that I look forward to working with this year. County Attorney, Mr. Commando.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have nothing to add.
Okay, good. And congratulations on your recent appointment. Sorry you didn't have to get interviewed, but that's all right. Commissioner comments. I'll start with Commissioner Adams-Ack.
I guess I have a few. I've gotten some input from several people on the way we're doing public comment at the end for general items. And I think it does help the flow of the meeting. It has, I think, stopped some people from making comment and showing up or sitting through the whole meeting. So I just was curious if there's a way we could do it where we would do a set time at some point, so that if someone had a comment that had nothing to do with it, they didn't. Today's meeting's gonna end at 11:30. We had one the other week that ended at 12:30. We've had them that ended at literally 20 minutes later. If maybe we had a set time of 10:30 or something where we could take general comment, just so that person that wants to have a comment and then leave could do so without waiting through a whole meeting, because the end time of the meeting isn't certain. So that's one item. I don't know if we want to discuss it further, or maybe take that to workshop, or how we want to do that, but I'll put that out there. Another item that I've had brought to my attention from the public is there was talk a couple years ago, obviously, or even maybe up until last year, about the county archives. I had mentioned to Mr. Suggs, maybe starting that talk up again now that we're coming out of COVID, to finding a location to house the county archives. I'd like that to be on an upcoming workshop. The other thing that our Congresswoman Kat Kamick had mentioned, and Ted Yoho had prior to COVID as well, the Social Security off-site location that we were potentially going to have in Putnam County, that kind of died off because Social Security is not doing in-house type meetings and things. But coming out of COVID, when Social Security hopefully opens things up, I'd like us to explore housing that location as well, because that was a big deal. And, we got a lot of kudos for that, or the prior commission did. So it's something we definitely shouldn't let fall off the table, because a lot of our citizens would love to have a manned one here. So I think we should keep pressuring for that as well.
Man, a staffed office.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, this one's an unmanned one, is what was proposed at that time, where basically, I think you could talk more about it.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. What they had proposed was to use one of our office facilities here to come in and set up an office with a computer where people could come in and interact via the computer with an office in another locale. So it would not be manned here. It would just be a housed office with a computer.
And I would like, I guess, as we made myself the chair of the IT committee, I'd like to ask for us to call a meeting of that committee. I'm available whenever that is called, so I don't know, do I call that?
Who else is on your committee?
My understanding is who else is on that committee? I haven't been told that.
I don't even know if there is an IT
Is it the
committee at this point.
constitutionals, or?
There was a meeting with the IT director a few weeks back, and the IT director, when we finished that meeting, there was not a committee that was set. He brought some proposals to us, but most of the information that was contained within this proposal was information that the IT director would be responsible for anyway. So when we left that meeting, we were just going to work through the IT director in his office to assist in whatever projects or needs they may need moving forward.
So we're not gonna have an IT committee, is that what I'm?
No, if you're the chairman, I would say call one. And, let's get it scheduled up.
Was there
I
prior IT committee? I guess Chairman Harvey had chaired that at some point, right?
I don't recall chairing IT. I don't.
We can look and see what we might have in the archive records as far as an IT committee, and we'll get back with Commissioner
And
Adams.
let me say this, if it's a committee of nobody, then why don't you make recommendations to the board of who you'd like, what you'd like to see on that?
Because I have gotten feedback since we talked about it in this forum from some of the constitutionals that they'd like to participate in that whenever we have it. And then I was like, I don't know when we're having it. So, okay, thank you for that. And I will bring a list of who I think should be on there. I would like to bring up the idea of, I'm not going to say the word evening meetings. I'm going to say a 6:15 p.m. meeting, because I don't think 5:05 meets my requirements for what I mean when I say evening meeting. I'd like to propose that we try to do some evening meetings on the second workshop meeting, maybe move that to an evening going forward. I think that would be a good opportunity to see what the appetite from the public is for attending such a meeting. And I'd actually like to make a motion that we move the second Thursday meeting of every month, or second Tuesday meeting of every month, workshop meeting of every month, to 6:15 start time going forward.
Second?
Okay, we have
Under discussion,
proper motion, proper second, but under discussion, Mr. Turner.
I'm opposed to this, I really am. I mean, I understand it's during the daytime, but people find a way to get here, and it costs the county a bunch of money. And I understand that your campaign issue and your biggest all the way through it was that we have night meetings. I get it, but I'm not for wasting the county's money on night meetings. I'm just not. So I'm not in favor of this, and I'm not gonna vote for it.
So-
Mr. Rawls, you have the floor.
I don't think it's a waste of the taxpayers' dollars. It's a request that we're getting on a recurrent basis from the public. A majority, I would say, of our public probably works, and if they do, then they're not able to participate in the government that they pay for. This was a campaign issue of mine, but it was also a peeve of mine before I ran. And, you know, I tell people that, it was Commissioner Harvey, and I told him I was a pissed off constituent. He said, no, you're not, you're passionate. So I'm passionate about us engaging the public at nighttime, in what's convenient for them. So I would stand in support of anything that we do that can encourage participation by the citizens in nighttime forum.
Mr. Hamzat, your number, you still?
Yeah, and I think at the time, I mean, as a citizen, I brought this as a poll that we used basically through the Republican Executive Committee, the Republican Club, as well as the Democratic group as well, and we brought this into a workshop. You know, that poll got several respondents and only one respondent, so they wanted to keep the meetings as they were. And here I'm not talking about moving the regular meeting, because I think there is some value to the regular meeting staying where it is, because there isn't as much input and there's not as much discussion as in a workshop. So I'm proposing just one of the 4 meetings that we have regularly per month be moved to the evening as a test. And that being a workshop where there is more discussion on our part as a commission.
Mr. Pickens.
Yeah, and I think we've had this discussion before. If we move a workshop, we have particular items on the agenda that have been brought forward from either Public Works or maybe even, you know, citizens that we're there to discuss and talk about and move forward or not move forward. So I'm just trying to wrap myself around exactly what kind of meeting do you want? Do we want to hear from the citizens? So we would try to do our work. We'd push them to the end of the meeting and then hear their comments at the end of this meeting. We started a quarterly nighttime meeting to hear the concerns of the citizens. And I'm sorry about a pandemic, but that stopped that. I would be willing to agree to that one because it's a separate meeting where we're focused on the public's input on general items rather than them coming and then I guess they can watch us. You know, you get 3 minutes to interact with us on a particular item. But I think it would just be better served if it was a separate meeting, maybe once a quarter, like we had planned on doing before the COVID.
Well, the once a quarter meetings was already decided upon, so we should be doing that anyway. This is in addition to that, in my opinion, is what I'm asking
Mr.
for.
Rawls?
I was going to bring this up in my comments, but one of the questions been brought to me. I serve on the city CRA, and the city, when they do their meetings, they have they have live meetings where people are in the audience and people are at the dais. But then they also have 2 big TV monitors on both sides of the room, very large TVs to say the least. And you're able to see everybody on the monitors. And then they have someone, I'm not sure who it is, because you'll hear the mayor at the end of the meeting say, does anybody have any comments on YouTube? So there's a way that somebody is monitoring YouTube or Facebook, whatever media they're using, and I believe it's YouTube, that the public can chime in and ask a question, and there's a person that's monitoring that, and that can ask the question of the CRA or the city commission, I guess, at that point. I'm just wondering, the question asked to me why we don't do something like that.
Wasn't that virtual, Commissioner?
Is it what?
Was it that meeting virtual only?
They're doing, no, we did it at the last meeting a couple weeks ago. They're doing it every time now. They're doing a combination, virtual,
Hybrid.
in person, and, but the question was asked of me, I didn't have an answer. I didn't know that it was possible to even do that, but apparently they do, because I've heard them ask if there's anybody out there.
All right.
Call
Mr.
for a
Adams?
question.
Yeah, we have, thank you. I want to give my opinion real quick, and then I'll take a vote. I support some evening meetings, and I like what Commissioner Pickens had to say. I think a quarterly meeting in the evening time is more than adequate. I also want to start looking at joint meetings with our municipalities, so maybe we can morph that into that at that point. That was going to be something I was going to bring up just very, very soon. But we are going into budget times, and that'll produce evening meetings. But I like the quarterly meetings. So we'll take a vote. All in favor of the moving the workshop meeting from the first workshop from 2 to 6 o'clock, if that's my understanding of the,
Second workshop from 2 to 6:15.
that's our transportation workshop.
Right.
Why would we?
Well, just like this
Yeah,
this workshop today is
well,
a
then-
combination of both.
Yeah, okay,
Mr.
so
Chairman, call
all
for
in favor,
question.
go ahead, Mr. Turner.
Question, call
I
for
got it.
question, not more comments, question.
Thank you.
Questions been called.
Can't limit that based
Sure
on-
you can, you're the chairman almighty.
I know, no, not almighty. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 To move that?
No, I'm nodding, I'm
You just
against
voted.
it, nay.
You voted for it.
Well, I'm
voted
sorry,
for
I vote nay.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's do a
Roll call vote,
roll call
please, sir.
vote. Ms. Ashley, would you do a roll call vote, please?
No.
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
Thank you. 3 to 2. Thank you. Mr. Amzak, is that the end of your comments?
No. And I'd just like to say thank you I participated in the golf tournament. Unfortunately, I was pretty hobbled this weekend for Young Life Putnam County. It was a great event. We had a lot of people showed up. I'm not sure what they raised, but it was great that the youth of this county in many ways are participating in a lifestyle for Christ, and it's being talked about. So I'm very excited about what that group's going to do, and hopefully we can move that type of group into other portions of the county from downtown Palatka as well. And I'm also excited about the fact that there's more than one event every weekend, the last several weekends, and I hope that continues, because that's the county that I love, that has activities that myself and my family and our community can participate in every weekend, and we have options. So I'm glad we're coming out of this somewhat of this malaise of staying home as a county and a community, and there's a lot of options for people to partake in, and hopefully those options continue to expand. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Turner, you have the floor, sir.
I have no further comments at this time, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Commissioner Rawls?
Yeah, so we've already discussed the YouTube chat or whatever it is. Today the school district was, what?
Didn't they call on you first?
No.
Commissioner? Oh, okay,
No.
sorry.
I started down there and worked.
Okay.
No.
Mr. Rawls, go ahead.
So, hang on a second, I had so many thoughts running through my mind for a response, I just had to shut myself down for a second.
enough for that.
Yeah, right. Putnam County School District was in front of us today, and I was wondering if it may not be wise for us to put together a resolution to support vocational technical training in Putnam County, to encourage it and support it in any way that we can, and see if that can help the process along. And then I just wanted to reiterate what Mr. Suggs had said about the animal services. So we're starting to move forward. We had a meeting. Looks like the soils are fine. We're going to be trying to figure out a way, hopefully, to change the way that we put this out. Part of the conversation revolved around our procurement policy and the fact that it's very restrictive. So I think that at some point, we need to encourage staff, and it looks like they're ready to hear it, to come back to us with, or us sit down, dissect the procurement policy, and find a way for us to be able to duplicate what's fixing to be done with the Four Gates Ferry, for instance. Not in that exact order, but I got a revised pricing the other day of less than $7,500 for all the lumber and the fasteners and epoxy and everything for that project. So that didn't go the traditional procurement route. So I think staff needs help from us and guidance on that. And then strategic plan, I'm just wondering where we are. We've got the draft of the strategic plan. I've never seen the final product. We're coming into budget season. Our budget should be focused on the strategic plan, so we can be budgeting 1, 3, 5, 10 years and all that fun stuff. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Pickens?
Thank you, Chairman Harvey. Just an update, and we talk about meeting with the municipalities. I was able to meet with the 3 mayors in District 1, Mayor Michelle Myers, new Mayor Jimmy Watts, and Mayor Joe Viscala from Pomona Park. The 21st of April, we met at the TAG office in Crescent City. J.R. Grimes attended, and also Administrator Suggs. J.R. updated us on some of the communication equipment and other things. And also Administrator Suggs updated us on one of the big issues that the mayors have is looking at the interlocal agreement. So we're moving forward with that, but it was another really successful meeting. And I look forward to maybe having a joint meeting with the municipalities also. And speaking of nighttime meetings, I have scheduled the Women's Club in Crescent City for Monday, May 3rd at 6 p.m. for a Commissioners Town Hall meeting. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pickens. And I just want to say that had a great Save Rodman Reservoir Bass Tournament a few weeks ago. Man, 5 inches of rain and from 2 o'clock in the morning till the boats took off, but it was very good, very well attended, had over 104 boats, 208 fishermen and women. I guess you call fisher women. I don't know how that's pronounced, but that's okay. Anglers, there you go. And
That did not include what happened in Placa, right?
right.
The boat ramp here was littered with boats everywhere.
Yeah, it's amazing when you see this take place. So it was just a great time out there. Last night was Liver and Onion Night. We raised money for the Putnam First. Yeah, it was very yummy actually. Putnam First Cancer Fund and the American Cancer Society. So now we'll end our commissioner comments, and I'll go to public comment on miscellaneous items. Is there any public comment on miscellaneous items? Thank you very much. Brenda Chamberlain Lane, United Way of North Florida. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm Brenda Chamberlain. I am the Senior Manager of Housing Data and Community Partnerships for United Way of North Central Florida.
Okay.
We are the lead agency for the Homeless Continuum Care, which is called the North Central Florida Alliance for the Homeless and Hungry. And yes, it is a mouthful.
Sure.
The reason why I'm here today is I wanted to let you know about the point-in-time numbers from the time in January when we and community volunteers went out and counted the homeless. We are charged as the lead agency to do the annual point-in-time every year in the last 10 days of January. We use service providers and volunteers to go into the community to find and survey the homeless. We actually have a committee that meets here in Putnam County that's called the Putnam Homeless Steering Committee. They've been meeting since about 2009, as far as I can tell. And they started out as a small group of providers that were just coming together to pull their resources. Their agencies, they serve the underserved in the community. It's grown through the years to a well-rounded group of providers and community advocates that are serving those residents of Putnam County that are homeless and unstably housed. This year, we actually counted 83 residents of Putnam County that were experiencing homelessness. Also, there was 23 that were sheltered in the community for a total of 106 on the night of January 25th. This year, the number was lower than last year, which was 178 total, but we do believe that COVID played a part in that as far as the lower numbers and being able to reach people. We wanted to let you know that these numbers help bring money into the county. As of right now, with different service providers, we are able to provide them grants up to $640,000. It's just a little over, but roughly it's $640,000 that we are bringing into the community because of these numbers. What we want to point out is we have the money to help people, to house them and to, oh, that distracted me.
It's okay. You
To
have the
house
money to
them and
house
to
them.
help them. But our problem is trying to find some place that is not setting them up for failure. When a one-bedroom is $900 to $1,000, but they only receive Social Security for $754, if we put them into housing, they're just going to end up being evicted. There's a need for affordable housing here in Putnam County. What we would like to ask is that the commission appoint somebody to regularly attend the Putnam Homeless Steering Committee so we can work on all this together.
Have you, Commissioner Rawls and the administrator put together a mental health homeless summit going to, kind of at the brink of it the other day and had some conversations? I would encourage you to plug into that, because I think that's going to grow far-reaching arms all over, and it's going to be encompassing a lot of different items, and you're going to see that come about. So we can give your information to Commissioner Rawls and our administrator, and when that summit comes to play, she's got it? Okay. When that summit comes, I think that would, because you're right, when I first got here, I was looking at some of the programs that we try to help people, and that was my statement. We're setting them up for failure because they can't continue the momentum even if we tried to help them day one. And it's not something that we want to do, is set people up for failure at all. So I appreciate your presentation. Commissioners, any comment? All right, thank you very much for being here. Okay.
Go ahead. Real quick, I got one comment. So you realize you're spending an average of $500 per person per month at that $640,000. Is that applied towards rent?
Say that one more time.
You got the $640,000 that's spent, and you got 106 people. That's an average of $500 per person per month. Is that going towards rent?
It's for street outreach, for homeless prevention, for renovations, for co-night shelter, and for rapid rehousing, which is short-term housing assistance.
I guess the point that I'm making is that if the money went towards rent, you could almost pay a monthly rent if we had something like ability housing in our community, and this is what they focus on. You could house the folks immediately and pay their rent, and then you wouldn't have to have the outreach, and because they would be housed.
Yeah.
So just a
Every
real
time
quick
I try to look
observation.
for the date for the Affordable Housing Committee, I can't find it.
Do what?
The Affordable Housing Committee?
Take it away, Commissioner Biggins. No,
Is
but
that-
they actually, the Affordable Housing Committee really wouldn't deal with that.
No, you're,
So just keep coming to the public safety meetings. We're going to be addressing part of it in there as well.
yeah, good. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for your attendance. Appreciate it. Patricia Wright James? That's okay. If you will, state your name and address for the record, please.
Patricia Wright James, 104 Hell Street, Satsuma, Florida.
Welcome.
Okay, my thing today is to bring to your attention about animal control. Now, y'all have given them a job to do. They need somewhere where they can start housing these animals. Because this weekend, my animals were attacked. They did respond Saturday. Monday came around, when I left home, they wiped my whole domestic animals out. Now, it was preventable, but due to the fact that the Humane Society, our actual animal control, does not have housing for these animals, there's nothing that they can do. So we need to come together as people, because I don't want my animals attacked anymore. They wanted to put a cage back on my property so the animals can come back. I'm already down. Now you want to think, I can't even have a fresh egg in the morning. You know what I'm saying? What the county needs to do is go ahead and build that house or that dog pound that y'all said y'all been wanting to do for 14 or 15 years, so some of us residents of this county can have our own livestock without it being a neighbor's dog tearing it down. The animal control can't take the animal. They can deem it dangerous, but they still cannot take it off the people's property. And you can give them, show them. I have video of it, but nothing has been done. So I'm asking y'all to get together and do something with these animals. I mean, people own them. Charge them. These people are not even able to cite these people for their animals or anything. So I'm asking you, from the bottom of my heart, somebody needs to do something.
Thank you. Mr. Ross?
I just want to say I have chickens as well, and I would be very frustrated if somebody's dog came in my yard and attacked one of the chickens. We're working as quickly as we can. We've got some impediments called government, and unfortunately, the government that you pay for is extremely slow, but we will get this resolved. The rest of it comes from your neighbors doing what they need to do.
right.
This is not a government problem. This is a problem with your neighbors not being responsible and accountable for their actions and their animals' actions. So, you know, as much as I can sit here and empathize with you and sympathize with your situation, you know, I'm a conservative, and what I want to scream out loud is, if people would be adults and take care of their problems, you wouldn't be standing in front of us.
That's true. But also, what I'm saying by preventative is that I was already attacked Saturday, and the animal control came out there. And due to the fact that they did not have space for the animals, they could have collected them then. That due to the fact that they did not have space, they couldn't do anything with them. They're still roaming the roads there today.
All right, Mr. Adamczak has a comment. Thank you. I know you're passionate.
So this is a conversation I think that all of us have had with staff, with the community, with everyone. I agree with Mr. Rawls. We are working diligently. The boring samples coming back, as was noted today, allows us to move forward to the next steps to building a new facility. I've had some conversations with the head of animal control, I guess. And I guess the question is, they are pretty full. I mean, I got those numbers emailed back to me. Is there a way to implement some sort of temporary housing, things like that, that allows for us to, I don't know if there's any options, but I don't think even if we broke ground on the building today, it wouldn't be ready for a year. And we're not even there yet. So we're talking about probably a year and a half before our building is completely put up.
Probably less than a year, but still.
Well, within a year, is there a way for us to potentially find a means to get temporary housing out there for the intake of more animals?
If we made the facility 10 times bigger than we currently have, we're still gonna fill it up. If we don't deal with the underlying problem of what do you do with the animals, that you've got to adopt them out. You've got to take care of them in a way that they're not in the facility. So I'm not saying that we go back to a kill shelter. I'm not even saying that, but I'm saying that if you could triple the size of the one we have now, and if the base problem of not dealing with the animals that you have in the animal shelter, when we get this new facility built, it's gonna be full too, because they're just gonna keep taking animals until such time as they're full again. So, I mean, it's not, I understand what our issue is. They want a nicer facility. That's fine. Want to get out of the dump. I get it. Not a problem.
No, the issue is not.
I get all that. What I'm saying though is, you can make it 10 times bigger and put it out in a parking lot in front of this building. It still isn't gonna solve the problem if we don't address the issue of why there's that many animals at the animal shelter in the first place.
Well, I think there's two issues here. Number one, and I agree with Commissioner Turner. I've said this from day one, the day we build that shelter, it's gonna be full. It could be full if we build it 4 times as big. It's gonna be full. There's no doubt. And it also, Commissioner Rawls's point, personal responsibility. I have an animal, I have a dog. I take care of that dog. The dog doesn't leave my yard. A lot of people are responsible, but some people aren't. And trying to force them to be responsible.
Yeah, it's not cutting it from me either.
It's not. But I think the underlying question that you brought up today is the fact that Is there something we can do when we have a shelter that's full with animals that are deemed attacked? And I think maybe that's your underlying question. Can we partner with other agencies to get those dogs or animals off the street at that moment? And I think we can work that out. I think there is a solution there, and I believe we can partner. So I think that was the question you asked, if I'm not mistaken. So
No, not.
you want those animals removed. You wanted them removed Saturday, but there wasn't any room to remove them.
There was no any room.
But if we could partner with somebody that could remove them or house them,
Yeah, that would be
might be the
beautiful.
answer. Okay. And I really need to wrap this up. Commissioner Adams,
So I guess if our answer to the question is not, and I agree, it would fill up, but I don't think we run perpetually full either. I think that's a unique situation to this past couple of weeks where we filled up and stayed full. So the answer is, how do you talk people into acting better? I mean, that's something that we can't govern. So the only thing that we can do is make a penalty that's greater. So that's something we need to talk about then. If that's the option we need to go to, we need to have a fine, and we need to have more structure behind when someone gets called. If let's say I get you call and my dog attacked your dog, there should be some penalty to me. Maybe the warning the first time or whatever it is, or my dog just trespassed on your property, let's say. The second time, there should be a substantial fine or something. If that's the way the answer is to change attitudes and actions, the only thing government can play in that is through fines and rules.
Okay.
or offering a carrot for them to do better, but that's,
The-
but go
Okay, this
ahead.
is the person, these dogs are my neighbor's dogs.
Right.
Sure.
The animal control has been out there, tried to talk with them. As they said, the only thing they can do now is educate them. Well, the dogs, there's no confinement for these animals. They're running over the neighborhood. I'm not the only resident out here that they have attacked,
Okay,
but.
we got it, and
Ugh.
thank you very much. Thank you. All right, is there anybody else in the public that would like to comment? Hearing none, we do have a 2 o'clock meeting and a 5:05. Thank you very much. This meeting's adjourned.